Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar and Brawl. I hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam, and we're back with hopefully it will be a progressive world mini. Sam, promise right now to everyone that
I
this be a progressive world
I,
mini.
no.
You actually just texted me the new lineup on Telegram.
I may have added 4 stories about a barren island in Africa. It's
That you saw
important
in a
cameo.
movie. That you saw in a movie.
Yes, it's fictional. So what?
Okay,
Oh,
but
talking of
what?
oh yeah, go ahead.
No.
No, sorry. It's just something tragic came to my mind, which
Oh
I'll
no.
mention it a bit in chit chat. But yeah,
Okay,
you're
and yeah.
already starting me off.
No, oh my God. And you can find timestamps down below, and please like and subscribe. So I'll just like quickly show off the few stories we have open here. So just in the chit chat for fun, again, it's going to talk about Vanguard. What else do we have? Then we have a little bit geopolitics. Going to talk about
Chit
Iraq.
chat,
Yeah, in the chit
and
chat.
those
Yeah.
sweet clicks they've been getting because of Vanguard for some reason.
Yeah, and again, this one's not Vanguard now, about Glenn. Glenn is back, so we'll just talk about him a little bit. Then we're gonna have a rather big part, a little bit on Iran and yeah. What else do you want to say about this, Sam? Anything you want to?
Oh, well, I think this is kind of a continuation of so last sort of episode, not that, any of this matters, but last episode, I tried to like cover like what I thought was the problem with how the left thinkers in general, or people who self-identify as left media producers or media content producers, kind of view international politics and see international politics with a specific reference to India and very little a specific reference to Iran and Soviet Union, because they were sort of covered, I feel like, in previous episodes exhaustively. Now I wanted to like at the end I wanted to connect this to okay, how is this related to now, and put up some more evidence, because I feel like regarding especially Max Blumenthal, that tweet that I put up maybe didn't do justice to his views on Iran or on the international geopolitics of Middle East or whatever you want to call it. So I found a better sort of thing. And this take, for example, on geopolitics, we took a look at Chapo guy's last episode, John Dolan, for example. And we're going to take a look at Bree's conversation with Briahna Greyjoe's conversation with Krystal Ball regarding
Marianne Williamson, third party
Marianne,
Democrat
yes, like
president.
electoral
Yeah.
politics of America. So, and I just want to, I think these trends because these people are younger, obviously, younger, but I would still put them at the top level of professionalism in terms of like leftist production. Is like the same sort of ideology that, for example, people like Chris Hedges and Robert Shear, I can never pronounce his name right, sorry, had, which is influenced by this, I believe, and Noam Chomsky, influenced by this somewhat reductive reading of history, is leading to this type of thinking that we see, for example, in these. And again, I like to clarify, I think these are all high, like I like to think that's why we watch them, because that's like, as far as I can tell, substantively these are the best substantively
Yeah.
and entertainingly, they're the best out there, like, of course there's more dry, more substantive lectures and stuff, but it's harder to watch.
Yeah, that's very true. Well put there. Well put. Okay, nice. And then we have a couple of other small stories. So I say, Sam, we go back to the beginning and start.
Oh,
And
just
yeah, go ahead.
one more quick tease, because you had Marianne Williamson
Yeah.
on. We also talked about that last time, that is Marianne, that's going to be interesting, because I did a bit of research first, so, and I don't think you know any of the things I'm
No.
going to talk about, so it would be quite, I think,
So maybe at
fascinating.
first I'll make a nice ignorant comment and then you tell me.
No,
everything that you've read. That would be fun. And we should also watch the first minute of this because it's kind of dramatic.
it's so fun. It's fantastic. It's bloody fantastic. But it was seriously, researching it was eye-opening. It's just, I mean, I know I've said that this is a stupid saying before, and I stand by that. They say, don't judge a book by its cover, but as anybody who's been to a bookshop, how can you you can't just sit there and read the whole goddamn book, right? You have to you read the blurb or something, and then you buy. You know what I mean? You can't be an asshole just to stay there. It's not a library. But at the same time, it does get to a truth that you should do your research when you are making a judgment, especially about the person.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Look forward to hearing what you have to say there about Marianne Williamson. If she runs for president again, do you think she'll be on Bad Fate every other week or every week?
I think she will finally replace Virgil as the co-host. She becomes
yeah.
To be honest, I think that's she'll don't they live next to each other?
No, they're neighbors, true.
They used to be neighbors.
Oh, they used to. Oh, where did you learn that? As far as
I don't know. Brie is moving every 6 months. She's I'm moving.
Really?
So I have no idea if they're
so it's concerning
neighbors.
You keeping track of Brie's location. Good thing
that
you're thousands of miles away.
Jesus, come on. I mean, I'm not a creep.
Okay. All right.
I'm watching these shows because it's our job.
Yeah, true.
I'm a teacher, guys. I have real jobs.
But okay. All right. So let's start with a little bit of chit chat and with the Vanguard. And really, all I wanted to say here is that yesterday you told me that they lost another 100 subscribers. So I felt bad. That's us losing 10. Which would really hurt. But for what? I mean, people, I was reading the comments and people didn't seem to be too pissed at the interview. And but pretty much, yeah, I mean, I think those who were pissed, they said that, what's his name? Gavin was really trying to, get Ron to, say something, to talk shit about. And although they got someone to pay $5, and no, he didn't at all. He said, I wish there was some drama to tell you or something like that, but nope, nothing there. So that's what people are saying. Gavin's clearly disappointed that there's no dirt. 76. Yeah, we'll make it 77. What else? Ron's a great guy. Everybody's saying Ron's a great guy and all that. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Ron is, to be honest, he's one of I disagree with him on quite a few topics, but he's such a realist. I don't know. I like his tone always.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with him. Maybe
well, he was on Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah,
I think he may have. He wrote for Daily Show or something. Maybe that was Jack from Struggle Sessions. So maybe I'm wrong. But I'm happy though. I just look at this picture. Does anything stand out to you in this picture? Because there is something.
I mean, you're obsessed with that. I know, of course, you're obsessed with tank tops.
Oh, that's disgusting. It's just not. It's disgusting.
That's your thing, huh? I mean,
it's not my thing.
No, look, I mean, if you were a politician or something, that you would go after this. I mean, you'd find one way or another.
Well, I mean, look. They made a choice to wear a tank top in public. I think they should be put in camps. That's all I'm saying. Yes, but again, I love tank tops at home, but in public,
well, he's technically
at the
home.
beach. At the beach, I'm okay. But it's just, I guess you're right.
And then, or what? Is it the cat? I don't know. Besides that, I'm running out of.
No. There's something that actually kind of thematically, now that I think about it, goes with one of our later segments. But I'm so happy that the people who did the sort of logo design and the branding for ISIS are still getting work. Ron Plakun seemed to have he's hired this exact same people who did ISIS's videos. It's so good.
But I must
like,
say,
look
it's
at
not
that.
the best looking banner.
Look at that white thing. It's exactly like when ISIS puts la 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 blah, blah, blah.
Hashtag get our news on.
I'm glad, it means you can recover from any bad clients. So.
Nah. You see, yeah, you know what I don't like about banners though in general? There's no like, I mean, you do what you have to do, not that I have a good setup, is that there's no depth.
Yeah, same.
But like you see, like with Zach, since like here there's like depth to the thing, to the room. Yeah, even normal wall, but like banners actually, I'm not one to talk much, but banners actually look really bad, and people often, sometimes people often put them because they have to, but they don't really look good because it's just so close to you and straight like that. Banners, and with this design, the design doesn't help here either. Sorry.
Oh yeah, with the ISIS design, I mean,
what is this? Like this is like YouTube logo. This looks like a sponsorship or something.
ISIS was highly successful on social media. Don't understand.
The designer used that portfolio.
Everybody likes to talk about the beheadings and the killing. Nobody talks about the branding. Their marketing department was fantastic. Nobody looks on the positive sides. But I think banner. I don't know why banners to me always remind me of like cheap, like those promotions they do in front of a car dealership or a mall or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's something in front of pharmacies. There's always it's a bit weird. But I love corners. Corners are the best. They give you that.
For sure. But yeah, man.
This was the interior design.
But the Vanguard Boys not looking good right now. But maybe things, I don't know how they can turn it around. I really don't know how they can. I don't know which audience they can try to tap into to gain new audience. Do you have any suggestions? I mean, they can go if you go with those really grassroots people, then you don't get views and subscribers. So that kind of audience doesn't really help. Like people who are like on the ground or like, campaigning or things like that. I don't think they bring viewers and subscribers. And then the big interviews now, they don't seem to that. Man, Aaron Matt, he's so dangerous, this guy.
The problem with
I'm kind of glad he never came on our show. You don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's a good chance I would have.
If Aaron Matt
said something is stupid, and then he would have remembered, okay, Sam, I have 3 articles here with references. I'll just shit. Man. So Aaron is a dangerous.
They lost like 500, I think, subscribers from that interview. So for our channel, that would be the equivalent of losing 50. Like I don't know what I would do.
-5.
YouTube shuts down the account.
YouTube will not allow you to view videos anymore. You're banned from you.
But I think they'll come out stronger from this. Hopefully they'll learn some lessons and come out stronger and turn this into
to be honest, I think their brand of politics, they should just relax a bit more. And if they relax a bit more, they can fit in right with the type of Breeze audience, Katie Halper's audience.
You're true. You're right, huh? If they maybe relax,
I feel they're a bit too obsessed. I feel like, again, doing armchair psychology here.
No. I mean,
thing, I think, is a bit personal to them. I feel like, I don't get why they're so bring that up quite often. Let's say.
But like in general, but let's say, they can't change that. Like they had an issue with Jimmy Dore, so they're hurt. But they should forget about that, right? They should just try to forget about that and put it behind them. But in general, you're right. Although it's kind of funny to say, it looks like they're very chilled, but like in their commentary and like, I think they try to be too ideological and principled and like consistent. I think so. They just need to talk more
They
shit
wanna
like
be
us.
good. Yeah, they want to be good. They don't.
Yeah.
And again, like that's the thing. I'm not too worried if I come. Like I'm completely fine with coming across as a shithead, and then Jared or Pani Trotsky or I don't know, like TCT corrects me, or you know what I mean. And then I'm like, ah, shit. But I would add also there is. I mean, this is coming from me, somewhat rich, to be honest. Pot calling the kettle black, but I think they might be a bit too conspiratorial in their mindset. Like, for example, when they talk about Jackson, Hinkle, Andrew Tate, that type of thing, you're like, oh, these guys are clearly signaling to the right wing and they want to grab that audience. And to give these level of agency to the idea, I mean, even again, Chapo Trap House guys mentioned that Felix, the idea that these people have plans or like this is a operation. You look, they do something, it catches on and they go like this. I don't think they like, even if I agree with like I don't agree with that in case of Jimmy Dore, but Andrew Tate is a genuine, I consider him a real scum, but I don't think he was like, you know, okay, how am I gonna attract it? You know, he was douchebag, and douchebags are popular, like, you know what I mean? It's just,
and then you kind of lean on that, you know, and then I
get
it. It's kind of
something works, you repeat.
So I mean, it could happen. So I mean, the same thing, the same consequence or result can come at the end of both of these things. So like, you know, at the end, that could mean that you do attract, you know, some new right-wing audience. I mean, look at us with the Vanguard. We just did the video on them and then it caught on. So now it's not like we force ourselves to do it, but we make sure to include it because, you know, it does we
keep an eye out.
Yeah, it does well.
And if it's Vanguard,
but yeah,
then it works.
Yeah. So I mean, you're saying, but you know, they think that people like, you know, strategize and plan so much to go after like right.
I mean, the way they talk about them, like, you know, and the way they get angry about how Aaron Matter was posing up. No. You know, that seems like personal and, you know, a bit like, you know, okay, it's feel like it's not some other people like a scheming behind your back or anything. Chill out with it.
All right. We milked this segment a lot, but I really liked your take on, you know, them having to relax a bit. We'll give them a little like. We'll give them a little subscribe too.
He didn't like my take on what's it called, on ISIS branding, sadly nobody pays attention.
No, I think you had a point there. But
thank you.
Okay. All right, this video you're gonna have to unpack it because even I'm not too sure what's going on. It's in Farsi.
This video, this video went viral a couple of weeks ago. Sorry, because I just wanted to
in Iran,
because we're gonna talk about Iran. Iran, that's very American of you, but yeah, it went and I think I think this one is somewhat self-explanatory, somewhat, because they speak English, but it's about let's say the video highlights the level of the quality of the ministers that we enjoy in Iran, in Islamic Republic. So, you know.
Okay. All right. Let's give it a little listen and come back.
Little bit quick. Like my second time my will go up. Second time little bit expensive for you. Okay, I'm waiting for you.
Sorry, there is no any problems at the level of bilateral.
I bring peace and friendship from Iranians.
Jesus loved everyone and wanted us to love all.
Legally should remain there to maintain this victory.
Gambler Trump, our revenge will be hard. انتقام سختی در پیش داریم برای you.
The full support of the Supreme Leader to government and Iranian Environmental Department.
Horrendous and terrible globe crisis arising out of it demonstrates.
It is with much pleasure that I'm informing you that in the past 4 years,
matches may end up with good or bad results. but such a record, such a reward.
Oh, at the end, that was a football commentator that was famous in Iran. But Lord,
I don't know him, but I'm sure.
You didn't know that guy on Channel 3, but the first guy kills me. But okay, now I understand the videos showing that all those politicians, their level of...
And they were, so the first person is a typical laborer in Iran who rents his donkey for like it's an area in, I think it's around Tehran, that you can ride a donkey to the, like it's a mountain thing. And his English, I think, is very, you can for like somebody.
Why did he need to speak English? How?
Oh, because he's talking to tourists.
Tourists, yeah.
Yeah, it's a touristy thing to do the, it's like a hike thing.
Never seen that. I can't turn on the audio for Instagram.
So, but yeah, and you can, and this is, I mean, anecdotal evidence. I've done this. I do that sometimes. I go to like because there are, by the way, there's a lot of like Arab tourists and that type of thing. So I pretend I don't know Farsi sometimes, and I ask in English and stuff. And like man, the English is like in a supermarket. You can with English you can do everything in Tehran. Like. And in North, I've been extensively in North. I've been to Kashan. I've been to Central. The only place I haven't really been is south of Iran. So I've been to villages, rural areas, and all that. So I'm not saying everybody's like as good as this guy, but pretty much like if anybody's been to Istanbul, which is a big tourist attraction, in Istanbul, for example, you cannot, the people in shops, a lot of them, or in Georgia is much worse. Istanbul is getting better. They don't even know English numbers, for example, right? And but that's because, by the way, Turkey had a closer relation with Germany during imperial years, so they used to have good German. In Iran, because of relation with Britain, there is more like everywhere, as you know, all the signs are both in Persian and English. Something that I don't think is true even in France.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So and then. Those were ministers from both reformist and the conservative camp. Their foreign minister, Rouhani, is somebody who has a PhD from Glasgow Caledonian University. Velayati, the original foreign minister of Islamic republics, has a medical degree from Johns Hopkins University. And he speaks like that. And a typical labor, that's what I mean, the level of, I mean, I know meritocracy, I think is like true meritocracy is not really possible. Like, and I don't think meritocracy should be used to undermine equality for all. But God damn it, man, I wish this laborer was our foreign minister. I'm sure he would have done a better job, frankly. I mean,
but it's funny that you say this. Do you remember after the first time I went to Brazil? So this was a while ago now. It was like 2 years or so ago. And I came back and I was like, how shocked I was that like nobody like pretty much spoke English, or like so many places would you expect people to know a bit of English. Yeah, and I was comparing it to, my personal experience in Iran where, I thought so many. We used to talk about this a lot. I'm sure if we go back to some of our earlier episodes, I remember this was the topic of conversation.
Well, it's it's largely, I mean,
we're making full circles.
We are going back. It's a big topic of discussion with us always. But I think it's largely because of imperial kind of, like you see that with Lebanon and Syria, it's French. With Turkey, especially older generations, it was German. With Georgia, with that type of place, it's Russian. So
perhaps, but I mean, a lot of Iranians also, perhaps, I think, have like or not a lot, but a part of the working class French and up have a lot of have a the idea of leaving Iran and going to another country, I think, is a possibility. And perhaps
I know,
because they care more about like learning English and keeping English and like
but I think I remember we specifically talked about this when you came back. But I think that's to do more with, like, again, as we discussed, like if you're Brazilian, you're probably more likely to want to
Go to
immigrate
Portugal
to
or
Spain,
something. Yeah.
or yeah, Portugal, or it's somewhere close. Like, you know, Iranians' automatic destination. I mean, Iran is a bit, again, because Iran was not a proper colony. So Iran is a bit mixed. Like, you have this huge middle class Iranians that their destination is France.
Yeah,
like, and
sure. But I mean, but still university, even if they don't want to go to the UK or something, even if they want to go to Malaysia or something, you know, things are in English. So like understanding, knowing English kind of makes sense to them, and to be part of
Malaysia
the plans.
Is a very popular.
Yeah. And there, I guess
Australia,
they learn English, right? They don't learn Malay for that, or maybe they learn a little bit of Malay. But
South America is an interesting case. I wonder in South America if, because of the Spanish language, would they rather? Is it more like lower class or middle?
Sorry, repeat that.
In South America. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because of the language connection. If it's on general more appealing to the lower classes to, for example, immigrate to Spain, or is it more appealing to immigrate to US because you know it's closer and US is pretty much,
I think,
sort of bilingual.
Especially Central American countries, I think they're much more oriented towards the US. Much more.
Yeah,
I would say.
Right,
I think in South America, if you go Brazilians, yes, that's different. Brazilians to Portugal, because they can go, actually. That's like a possibility. And you know,
no visa regime.
And a lot of people from like Chile or things like that could qualify for going back to Italy or Spain, you know, like people from like Uruguay or something like that. So I think they have that access, now that I think about it. Whereas, you know, you hear like, you know, Central Americans, you know, they typically, I think, go to the north, US or Canada.
It reminded me, I had friends from Venezuela whose like great grandparents were of Italian descent.
No, it's very common, I think.
Yeah, they could get Italian citizenship.
Exactly.
I didn't know that.
Man, this player born and raised in Brazil decided to go play for Italy. Like he never stepped. He was born and raised in Brazil until 16.
I'm guessing he didn't have a chance.
No. Oh no. No, I mean, if you make the Italy team, you also make the Brazil team.
Oh really?
And he was like, and he's really good. I mean, I don't know if at that time he thought that, but anyway, so it's very common. Yeah, I mean, grandparents, Argentinians especially having. And then I guess the government is able to give it to them. But but man, this guy kills me though at first, and then and Ahmadinejad, and there's one guy who doesn't even speak English, and then actually he's speaking English and Farsi, but like his English was not English.
His English was with Iranian tone, which is very musical. So it was like, revenge you hard.
He might as well have spoken Farsi. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and he did. And he said, we get revenge in Farsi of you. Suddenly back to English.
What a guy. But okay, let's keep this going. So Hillary Clinton probably agreed with AOC's concerns about the future of female president, or whatever AOC's comments were about Americans hating women. I don't even know if that's what she said, because I couldn't even bother to go and actually see. But let's assume that's for the purposes of this conversation.
Yeah, again, because we're going to talk about politicians and all like that, I thought maybe thematically this fits in too. But I believe she said that I feel like
many people. No, she's saying so many people in this country hate women, and they hate women of color.
I know, but I think she said I can't tell girls that anything is possible because, and I like something along like I kind of feel ambivalent about encouraging girls to do politics or to be able to do anything because they face so much backlash and all that.
I see.
Which, I mean, what a grifter. Like she's really leaning I'm a woman. And, No,
that's exactly what she's saying here. She's just gonna be such a standard Democrat in the next few years. That like by that point,
She's already is. She already is.
And it will be like one of those like stories, like, you know, once upon a time in the beginning, you know, that's how she came or something like that. I mean, she'll be a great example. And
no, I'm to be honest, I mean, I can't believe. I mean, I was like in the beginning, she said the right stuff, but it's like Jesus. Like,
but that was so long ago. Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started doing this podcast over 2 years ago, that's when she had already everything had already kind of changed. I mean, so now I just feel like it's normal. But you know, she's the Democrats, like, you know, up and coming talent. You know, in sports, she's
she's the future.
Still in
Obama.
their rookie year, and then you know, exactly. They're counting on a good 8 years on her, and then after that, continuing. Just like
but
Obama.
Do you think she's a bit too polarizing for like Midwest and stuff, or to become?
Very good question.
You know
Yeah, exactly. I don't know exactly if
because
I don't know if she's already gone too far in different ways, not even in left ways, but like exactly on some of the things that she leans on, like
she
like
could
the
get
woman
Hispanic.
And also...
she could be a good challenge to because increasing the Hispanics are because Hispanic again, like this is. Like what I talked about, the immigrant populations tend to be quite conservative, especially second generation, but even first. So they
That's
you know, they're
true.
they're turning towards Republicans on some issues, and
issue.
she could be as a pair. But as if I don't know, I think they might be grooming her for vice presidency or something, because
if I was her, I wouldn't take
antagonizing.
That. But yeah, if I was her agent or manager, I'd be like, don't accept that. I think you can go to the top.
Yeah, I mean,
because once you're vice president, it's hard to then be president. I mean, of course, Biden did it. But
I know, but I mean, forget about presidency. Both George H.W. Bush and Dick Cheney really made something out of their vice presidency.
Yes.
So if you're capable, you can do it.
But I mean, if you can go for the top job.
Yeah.
I think she's so young. There's no reason for her to settle anything like that, or the plans to be like that for her.
That's true.
I mean, they look like they're dying to, you know, it's because they don't have anyone. So, I mean, I think next, not this one, but the next one, that's when she's going to make her first run.
Yes, yeah.
6 years.
But, yeah. Could be even two. Oh, man, she's just unbelievable that the audacity on these, as they say, you know, do you remember that saying in Persian? It's not a face, it's a sange pay qazvin.
No, never heard of it.
No, it's a volcanic stone that you use to scrub off, like really where your skin has gone hard.
Yeah.
And they say it's not a face, it's like nothing really, like doesn't phase like, you know, just looks into your eyes and just bullshits you. And just tease for next episode is going to be very pop culture, I think. And I've been watching the House of Dragons and the Lord of the Rings and stuff just to get a feel of it, really. And, you know, some of the other movies. And she's like, really, she's like Amazon, the company, and the producer of Rings of Power, like personified. Like, oh, every criticism is sexism, every criticism is racism, you know, like
exactly.
Anyways, wow, just wow. Not a face.
Yeah,
has been volcanic.
That's really annoying about her. Okay, what do we have next? Oh, the Queen. Yes. So yeah, the Queen. What else is there new to say about
the Queen is dead. Long live the King, King Charles.
True, and apparently, so they changed the song, right? That's so funny.
Yes, of course. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, I like
the changing nature of.
I was surprised. No, I was. What's the what did I say? What surprise? Pleasing. No, I was pleased to see it. Yeah, I was happy about it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, me too.
That was fun. That was happy, but like, you know, sometimes they don't change these things for no reason. So I was just like, whatever. And that makes sense. Not that I care about national.
I mean, not that I hate sing-alongs. I hate I hate it when they force you to sing any national.
But that's
anthems you know, in things. But it's a cool thing, I guess. But as far as national anthems go. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
I must say I am so disappointed with all the people, everybody, like people with the war again. I know, I'm repeating myself, but like, I like Queen, and aesthetically, at least, like I like the whole anything with regalia or royal family involved. I'm in, right?
Yeah.
But I don't get these people who go and like are crying and shaking King Charles's hand and all that, and it's like
that's their thing, man. That's their passion.
What? Like, do they not have lives, or I don't know, man? Like I can understand cinema and stadiums, right? Because of, I guess this is like that, right?
Yeah,
like
it's the exact same thing. You just,
but it's so weird to me. They cry, and everything royal seems cool to me, and I know I'm crazy, but it's like I want to become a king. I don't want to shake the fucking king's hand. You know what I mean? I don't get it, man. I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, but
yeah.
like you said, it's like not surprised. I mean, everybody has different pastimes and faults for different activities and things like that, and they've fallen for this one, and that's what they really like. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like ridiculous, and I guess but
it did remind me of. No, it did remind me of actually, to be honest, something that's a bit more substantive. That I used to be very dismissive of religious rituals or rituals in general. Just ideological rituals, whatever you want to call it. But after a while, I kind of like it came to me when somebody was explaining to me that in the morning ceremony in Iran, people, and I was like, oh, how come they're crying? And then they suddenly shift so much. And he said, well, because they're not crying about this story. Nobody cares about this story. Everybody puts whatever problems and issues they have in their life into that story, and it becomes dramatic. Like your mother has passed and you're upset, and that communal thing gives you the permission to cry, and that's why so quickly you can come out of it. So I guess that's kind of explain these communal experiences. I don't get it, but that's the one way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I agree with that take.
Yeah, well, yeah, but yeah, very disappointing. I wanted more serious takes on her reign, her dealings with different things.
I mean, we don't have the video open for some reason. I don't see it, but I mean, the Rising, or are we talking about that later?
Yeah, we were talking about it later, but I was going to talk about the whole quick, do a quick like roundup of the progressive news.
Okay,
but
so we could talk more about the Queen when we talk about it. All right, Sam, let's move on to our next story. And for a Russia-Ukraine story here, I found this really cool map. We like it. Photo and map. I like how I guess it's German guy turned that with a mask. I know it's a COVID mask, but let's imagine this is pre-COVID. So he has a mask on because it's something really dangerous what's going on there. And then he has a map. And that's cool picture if you ask me. Just found it.
It's pretty cool. The map is pretty. Whenever the map has the mountains like that. And
You're right. Wow. Like this, you mean, right? These are the mountains.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and everywhere. Wow, these are the green ones everywhere. These are actually green ones here. Okay, so they have cool maps at the army. That's something I was never told. Nobody ever brought this up.
Really?
Nobody ever said anything about maps.
Blue. Look at that blue.
Very unique. Only the army has access to this. Blue. I'm telling you, I missed my chance in Switzerland. The best way to do the army. No, the best place is in Switzerland. You just go and do the army for 9 months. It's nice and short. On weekends you come home, and then the experience, I could have used it on this podcast, challenge some generals.
General McGregor, I respectfully disagree with your assessment.
When I was in the army, this is how we did it.
In the Swiss army.
But yeah, missed my chance. I didn't move here early enough.
Sorry, but you can always tell how serious the army it is by its weapons, and Swiss Army knife is clearly shows what like they were thinking. Like, okay, we've got one to open champagne. There is one for opening a cake box. You know, if there is a pastry shop. What is going on? What is the Swiss Army knife for? Really? What is
so
that?
true? For dads who go on picnics. That's like...
If you want to manicure your manicure, pedicure, it's useful. There are things that Ami does. There are things that Ami.
That's funny, but yeah. So I did miss out.
Yeah. And the map making is
and the maps. No one told me that. There'd be such awesome maps. But yeah, you know, if you don't do the 9 months, then you have to do, you can either go 9 months in one go. And by the way, if you're working, you get like compensated, like I want to say 50 to like 80% of your salary. And
oh, wow. That's
yeah, if you really don't want to do it one go, there's this other way. And I think that way is actually pretty, I don't know, much more inconvenient. Yeah. You do like 3 weeks every now and then or every year or like something like that. So that seems annoying. And another one is
like emergency situation.
Yeah.
we have real army coming. Call these guys.
A bathroom's been clogged. Like
I'm just imagining like the SWAT teams in Switzerland are just on a, this week we have these guys. He's an accountant. This guy is a bank manager, cashier. It's a voluntary force space.
But seriously, and yeah, or you can opt not to do it or something, or if you don't do it for like a medical reason or something, they take like a few percent of your salary for like a good 5 to 10 years. So
if you don't want to do them, like, can you be like in, I think, Norway and Sweden, and I think used to be US, like can you become like, you don't want to do military, like I'm against violence, conscientious objector or something. I want to. Like,
yeah, I think if you
social
don't
work or something.
Oh yeah, I've never heard of someone say that, and I never looked into it. But yeah, I mean, I just know of someone who didn't do it for medical reasons, and they just take away from your salary. So I wouldn't be surprised if they still take from your salary or something. But it's only for men anyway, by the way. So also half the people are out of it. Yeah.
No. Iran before the revolution, it was for men and women. Then it became just.
But it wasn't mandatory back then, no?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, really? Stop.
Yeah, it was. It was always yeah. I mean, to be fair, again, up to 1970s, it was mandatory in US. I mean, Vietnam.
I know, but not for women. No, the woman part. That's.
Yeah. It was my mom did. I think my mom did it. Yeah, but they had like teaching, and it wasn't. They weren't sent to war, but it was.
They were
kind
sent
of
to fight the Swiss.
Yeah. I mean, come on, this Iranian woman can take it. Come on, it doesn't take Iranian. It takes a Iranian woman.
None if I was in it. Armed with maps.
These days, a lot of military generals in Iran are voicing that they think women should have mandatory service.
Hey, tap into the workforce. You see, now that makes sense. Yeah. Dr. Oz would come out and be like, "Don't hire anybody who smokes." Okay, no, we're trying to access a bigger pool. You want to get rid of 50% of men.
And to be fair, though, in Iran, it wouldn't matter because, like, it's a big thing. To be fair, Iranians they smoke much less, overall, I would say, than average. But then Iranian women who do smoke, they tend to not tell people. Like, it's really weird. Everybody in Iran is such liars. It's just everybody lies about these things for no reason. Like literally, there is no like their father is a smoker too, or like it's cool. No, I just don't want to break the tower. I don't get it. I don't understand these people.
But man, if I went to the army, for sure I would pick up like light smoking, like have like a few cigarettes during the day. If you're in the army,
Like
you do that. That's the thing you do. It's something you do. If you're in the army, you definitely smoke a few cigarettes per day, I think.
Man, I feel so bad for all these poor kids. No, I was gonna get to that. I feel so bad for these poor kids that are conscripted in Iran. They're paid, by the way, equivalent of like, if I'm not mistaken, like 15 cents an hour.
Yeah,
I'm like that, and then man, yeah, they're always like 17. That's the one interaction I always have with them. They ask me for cigarettes. Like that's pretty much like
you're doing your part, huh?
Yeah, yes. I am fighting against the empire.
You're with the troops, huh? You have the troops back.
Yeah, yeah.
But okay, all right. So what is the story about here? We got the map.
Yeah, well, it's about the map. Yeah. The real substance is the map. Also, did you hear about this whole Ukrainian counterattack that surprised Russia?
Yeah, I've heard a little. Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if it's been made too much of in the news because when Russia was making advances, nobody was like, but then again, it seems to have been quite like important, like even but everybody seems to be saying this, and I think from reading RTN and stuff, because right wingers in Russia are saying, they're very critical of the way war has been conducted. Basically, they want a more aggressive war, and so far, apparently, the guy who's been in charge of the whole, what I mean, like the guy who's, I guess, between Putin and all the other ones, he's been a civilian minister. So it could get really bad after this if Russia won. I mean, who knows? Maybe Russian militarism weaker, but a lot of people are saying that there might be increased sort of a aggressive war, more aggressive war. Yeah,
I see.
But that's about it.
Interesting. I hadn't heard about that at all. No, I hadn't heard anything about that at all. But I mean, the news of course, it made it everywhere, including it was like the main story covered by the New York Times newsletter that I read in the morning usually, or just like check it out for fun.
They were extremely hyperbolic. I saw a couple of articles. Is this the end of Putin?
The end of Putin. He's like, how do you go from that to me? It's like 50 steps. I mean, it's dramatic.
I swear, I think it was something along. I might be exaggerating. Full disclosure, but yeah, it was.
That would be someone said that. Funny.
But then. And then I think this was a good video with, I found it somewhat informative.
Oh, Scott Ritter. I've never seen him.
Scott Ritter.
Yeah.
No, he came on Grey Zone a lot.
Exactly. His name is very familiar.
Yeah, he's a former UN inspector thing. And I Googled him and I get to that before and maybe that actually explains what happens here. And we discussed the substance, but it was pretty informative, I think, video, this one. But before getting to the informative and everything, just go to 30 seconds into the video. Just the first
30 seconds into the video.
Second 30th, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start at 23.
Okay, you see that?
Down a bit.
No, don't play anything.
Oh
yeah. In this video, Kim wasn't. She wasn't available through video. She put a picture.
Oh, okay. I was like,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see this picture? You remember this picture, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now go to minute 12 second 09.
What's going on here?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah. Here. Go ahead.
Okay.
See what happened?
Picture change. She stopped smiling?
Yeah, she's getting angry now.
How the hell did that happen?
And then go to at the end, minute 31. Minute 31. 30 seconds. 30th second.
Oh no!
Go further.
Hold on. We got an ad.
Oh God!
What are you, 12? You've been using the same stink stick since high school. It's time.
I have the YouTube account on my phone, but not this one. 30th and what?
30th, 32nd.
Okay.
31:30.
Ah. Okay. Curious to see what happens here.
Yeah.
So she's back to smiling.
She's back to smiling.
But what happens here? That's too funny. So she has like two pictures that like on her head.
Look, that's I think she wasn't happy with the Scotch. I don't remember. I'm joking. Yeah, I think she wasn't happy.
Did others
what were you saying? So weird, man. I was. What the fuck? You know, what it remind? Have you ever seen Mousetrap? The really fantastic movie from 90s. Two brothers, they have a cheese factory, and then there's a mouse. Their father leaves the mouse. You must have seen it when you were a kid. It was all over TV. It was like, what's it called? Home Alone. It was always on.
Cheese factory.
But anyway, yeah. They had an old house, and in that old house, the mouse was fighting with them. They were trying to get rid of the mouse, and it was like Tom and Jerry style comedy. But they also had a cheese factory from their father.
No,
it's really good, man. But one of my favorite, Gore Verbinski directed it. The guy who would go on to direct the Rango and Pirates of the Caribbean. And in that movie, and it's a common, not motif. It's a common, I guess, technique. It's used in comedies or movies. Same with Lady Killers, the Coen brothers remake of Lady Killers. Have you seen? Maybe Tom Hanks. No. They go live with a black lady that they want to use her basement to basically go and steal some money. But in that one, the husband of the lady, and in the Mousetrap, the father of the characters, they had a portrait on the wall. And the portrait's face would change, like it was a portrait, but his facial expressions would change according to the situation. Like, you know, when they were doing something crazy, it would be like, or, you know. So I think that's what's happening with Kim here. I don't know.
I see. Yeah, really weird and strange, man. I'm surprised nobody spotted it. Should we put it in the comment?
No. What? I don't know. Is it? I mean, maybe somebody has spotted it. It's 1,700.
Yeah, true.
Jesus. Yeah. But Spar and Brawl is shifting to shit comments.
No. Well, I hope it's a good interview. I haven't seen it. You're gonna tell us what about.
It's good. It was I did. It was like what I said in the beginning, but better and more detailed and like with like references and, you know, explaining.
Brendan,
I see.
It was taking the Russians
sorry.
more than
sorry, I don't know. All hell broke loose.
What is this?
Huh?
What are these? Sorry, I'm just anyway. But also I googled him, man. Did you know he's got some like stuff in his past?
Oh, him.
Yeah. Sexual stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I think he's been convicted. And
oh, really?
But it does look, yeah. But it was like a FBI online thing, and he says he didn't. I don't. But it does. I mean, not that it undermines his military analysis, but it does creep you out.
That's for sure.
I don't know anything about the details, so maybe.
But what was his background? He was a UN rapporteur or what?
He was a UN inspector. He was a US representative to UN inspection, something, or UN inspector. No, he was, because I remember he said before I got the job, I told them that I'm gonna like be loyal to my brief and stuff. So I think it was like somebody who was from US military or whatever, but was working for UN at that time.
I see.
It was early 90s, I think.
I see. Okay. Should we move on to Iraq or anything else here?
Yeah. This is very quick. Just this was something I want to talk about, but I let me know if people want to know more. But Iraq is in chaos, and I think we talked a little bit about his conflict with Iran, but it's pretty much came to.
Is this the guy who retired?
He retired. Yeah. He finally. Yeah. Now he retired. After he retired, they attacked the governmental buildings and all that zone and shit. And then he came out and he said, whoever even does a peaceful protest is no longer my supporter.
And why did he retire?
Because he had the largest segment in the parliament in the latest election. But because it wasn't absolute majority, he couldn't form a government unless he came to an understanding with other groups, mostly Shia groups that are backed by Iran. He couldn't, because he's going against Iran. He's positioning himself as an Iraqi nationalist. So he tried to do a unity government with Sunnis like Sunni Iraqis and Kurds who are also overwhelmingly Sunni. But that didn't work. It seems that Iranians have done a deal with Kurds, and Kurds that's quite interesting as well. Kurds are really increasing their rhetoric against Kurdish independence fighters in Turkey and in Iran. So the Kurds that are in Iraq, that government is saying that, those guys are troublemakers and stuff. So it seems Kurds are coming to an understanding with Iran, and therefore with the Shias that are supported by Iran and Iraq. So his deal fell through. And after that, he said everybody should resign. And they did. All his MPs resigned. And that led to chaos and then a street fight. And then he said, I'm going to resign from politics. I think he thought the other side is going to back down. The other side didn't back down. So basically, when the Kurds went over to Iranians, it seems he lost it. So
I see.
And now they're going to have elections again.
But the Kurds went towards the Iranian government because, the Iranian government...
The oil, it seems to be...
No, because the Kurds, they're saying, the Kurds in Iraq, or the politically active one of this segment that we're talking about, they're not talking much about an independent Kurdistan or something like that. So in that sense, and they're saying that the ones in Iran and in Turkey shouldn't be talking this nonsense anyway and all that. So that's why with the Iranian government they're getting along.
Look, relatively, take this into with the
I understand,
the leadership now is distancing themselves from Kurdish fighters in Iran and Turkey. And they, even when they do talk about independence, they talk about the independence of Iraqi Kurdistan, or as it's called, Iqlim, not the larger greater Kurdistan as Kurdish nationalists like. So that's what's happening there.
I see. Okay, all right. Interesting. What else? What do we have after?
Actually, let me surprise you. Maybe you can pull up a picture from, just Google Azerbaijan, Armenia. There was a flare up on our old. You remember this was one that brought us over 5 subscribers.
Yeah, Nagorno-Karabakh.
Nagorno-Karabakh. Yeah. So there has been fresh clashes in recent weeks. Today, Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan came out and said that 49 Armenians have died, and there has been, by the way, attacks with protests and attacks in Armenia on Russian, because Armenia completely feels abandoned by Russia in many ways. And by the way, I was reminded, that came to my mind. Guess who Jimmy Dore had on a week ago? I don't know if you remember them. We watched them for a very brief period of time. The Durant, do you remember those guys?
No.
They tried to do military analysis. They're 2 Alexes. They're Greek or Cypriot Greek. I don't know.
No.
they do sort of military geopolitical analysis and stuff. And I think their stuff is interesting, except when it comes to, they tend to be wrong about Armenia and Greece a lot. And it's, I mean, with Armenia, Azerbaijan, I don't know if you recall, they repeated what in the beginning of the war was Armenian basically propaganda, that, yeah, Azerbaijan, all the claims of the progress is fake and all that. And then, yeah, it turned out, no, it wasn't fake. All the, like, you know, it does give them a bit of a blind side, I feel like. They're very pro, like that, I don't know if you know about this whole Greece, Armenian, they sort of see themselves as, you know, against the, you know, they're marginalized because of the Turks, you know, a Turkish lordship over them and all that. So, but, yeah, but it not interesting channel, I must say.
Yeah, no, I don't remember them at all.
Yeah, but yeah, things are heating up. I think, yeah, I think there's going to be a more conflict because Pashinyan is under a lot of pressure within Armenia, and well, Azerbaijan kind of feels like it has an opening with Russia busy in Ukraine and, you know, America, everybody busy in Ukraine. You know, nobody keeps it. You know what I mean?
No, very true. Okay, all right, very nice. Yeah, I mean, this was our most successful geopolitical like story that I can think of by a lot. This, yeah.
Are you saying it's good that that war happened?
And
no, I think that's what you're anything for clicks.
Anything for clicks. All right, Sam. Now let's do a little roundup of some progressive kind of stories.
Yeah.
And let's say, so here it's not about the Vanguard. For once, it's not, we've milked this so much. But it's fun. But no, it's about Glenn. Glenn is back. He came out of he just, I mean, the poor guy, I mean, first I guess we should say that apparently his husband is doing much better, if I'm not mistaken. I think you've told me.
Is he?
I hope so. I mean, maybe that's why he's back. Oh no, well, I hope so.
I speculated. I didn't say I know any of this, but yeah, it does feel like, yeah, he's been allowed, like, you know, it's not as serious, so I guess like he can pay some attention to.
Hopefully he's feeling better. And I'm guessing just the urge to talk about freedom of speech was just killing him. If I woke up in the middle of the night shouting freedom of speech, restricted views, MSNBC, Rachel, just let me do this. He was probably recording some podcast just for fun, and then like, okay, putting him in the in the drawer, just quickly recording his thoughts.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is just one example. Here he's talking about, you know, important. I'm not dismissing or I don't disagree with him. I'm just saying his passion for this. I mean, it's like,
yeah, it's unbelievable. This and Brawl dogs, like, you know, just tweeting about freedom with one dog in hand. Take this in the hospital. I don't know, whatever. But no, the kiwi farm thing, I mean, this is, I think, the old tweet.
Is this about that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. It's developing, apparently. Robbie,
what is that again?
It was this weird like forum that people who like anti-trans people who hate trans people to the point that they're willing to go join a forum. I mean, like, what are people doing with their lives? Like, seriously, like, get a job. But you know, even if you hate things, like, is this how you? But then apparently they were doxing people, and you know, there was that lady who said they were following me to. They followed her to Australia, or was in Northern? I think Australia, and her address. But then Robbie was doing a segment. I didn't get to watch it properly. That apparently the story has evolved, and it's become more like her story apparently has some holes in it, or it's a bit thing. But the Cloudflare, which is, you know, the one that websites are, you know, thing. They suspended them, Kiwi Farm, so nobody and even they scrubbed them from the whatever Wayback Machine. So you can't, because maybe there was, I mean, nobody knows what was the specific reasoning, but I guess the problem was the doxing, perhaps.
I wonder if the hosts take away if they stop hosting the server, but do they also delete your comment, or can you just sorry, did they delete all your content, or do they hand you over your content so you can go find another
I think they delete
server? Wow. Unless you keep a backup of it yourself, I guess, does it become theirs if they kick you off their
Well, they don't give you one version, I guess. That would be nice though,
because you can just go open your website somewhere else on another host.
No, Cloudflare, I'm not sure. Cloudflare is more than hosting. It's Cloudflare is the one that I used to do all this bullshit of buying domain and stuff, but it's more than that. It's like what they did with that. What was it, Gap or Parler? They basically you're not allowed on internet anymore. It was and the Wayback Machine is I guess it's an internet. I don't know what it is. I think it's a website that keeps an archive of whatever.
No, you just go back.
So that's different from YouTube deleting your, they even deleted it from that. So my assumption is it might have been to do with doxing and stuff.
I see.
But then again,
and then
sorry, I was gonna go on something to talk about. I'm not fully crazy pro trans, but what is wrong with people organizing online to do crimes?
And then it's funny actually. I was looking at Glenn's tweets and I stumbled upon this one. He wrote, of course, whatever one's view on this tweet, it very obviously violated no Twitter rules. It's only sin was it fell outside of what was in it. But anyway, so this one, right? This professor, the chief market, even raping be excruciating. And then they also covered it as well on the Hill. I mean, when the Hill were covering this.
Tweets? Oh, I didn't understand that. I thought it was just Robbie criticizing the thing. I didn't, because, man, let's just be honest. This is what this segment is really about. The Hill is goddamn insufferable. I cannot watch Batshia. I cannot, it's become really insufferable. And Robbie is doing segments now. And
poor guy. Where's
coming out?
I think
nonsense is coming out, man. And,
oh, really?
This one, what was it about? I couldn't even finish it, but what? Jesus, that was a bit creepy. But man, I didn't watch it that far. So they delete, Twitter banned the tweet.
Oh, I don't know about that. So I don't even know I don't know if. I guess.
That's what Glenn was saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was more interested in the tweet at this point.
How is this? She's dead. What is?
Sorry. Of course they talk about. What am I saying? Of course they talk about it. I just watched
the first.
Here it is. This is the reason that they give.
Tolerate that promotes insights or Jesus Christ. Ashra is a satire, guys. Remember.
But
she's dead too. Even in this case, go back. They give a specific example. And it's like saying that a group of you see what I hope you get cancer. She's already so I guess but even.
But I mean, what do you make of the tweets? Any thoughts? No? It's not my taste, that's for sure.
It's not my taste either, but it's better than I saw so many bullshit fuck you. At least this one has some good language, interesting, wait. It's kind of poetic, but don't take it too personally. She was like, we are all evil to an extent. She was quite, I don't know. I find it so weird when people tweet like, oh, like, I'm so sad the queen is like, unless you know her. And I find it so weird when people get that. Like, I don't think it was, the chief monarch. I don't know. What do you think? What is your?
Yeah, no. I mean, this person apparently was, she's saying that like, I'm not taking this down because, my family was chased out of our country and all that. So I mean,
that's
I understand that
experience
and personal, but yeah, otherwise putting it this way, and also I mean the way that blaming it, I mean, on one person in that way is also not like, I guess the analysis, I don't agree with it at that level too, and then the tone and rhetoric and all that.
No, I must say, if I
don't like
know about the family, if your family stuff, if it's personal to you, then fuck that. She should. That's I would have probably made similar comments, or I wouldn't have tweeted it maybe because I don't like to type, but I would have said the similar comment. But still, I thought Queen was cool, but she was also chief monarch of a thieving, raping. So the Empire. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I mean, to be fair, she was like at the tail end of it when they were wrapping things up, if I'm not mistaken. But
but that's like saying, if
I mean, that makes a difference. Then you should blame her for like other stuff that the UK did while she was alive, sure. Which maybe some of it was this. I don't know.
I think, to be honest, in these,
I mean, you can't be responsible for the past. I mean, that's pushing it, I think, or I guess because you're part of the institution.
That's for sure. But all of the things she says has happened since she's been in charge too. So that's one. I mean, the genocidal part, maybe not since at least 1947, but the thieving and raping, a lot of that. But
I mean, that applies to most.
I think, do you think it's exactly any successful global organization? But I would add that it's kind of like they say, for example, some people sometimes say Taliban may be bad, but they never, like, it's about opportunity a bit as well. She never had the opportunity to be as evil as her grandparents.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I mean,
she might be.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're judging on the results and all that, I mean, on the actual what happens.
Actually, what happened? Compared to other monarchs, I would imagine she probably. Although had you even compare evil deeds, or, whatever.
But it's
I
so
would
funny,
say,
man.
As a
she's
political
like
operator, she was effective.
Yeah, and she's so old that like whenever they put like a series of her photos like back in the day, like you go back, and she's still old.
Sorry.
All right, sorry about that. So yeah, Sam, I don't know if you heard that, but I was just saying, since the queen is so old, I was like looking at pictures of her, and it was like one of those series where like goes back in time. Like I would keep on going back, and she was still old, like 80s, easily old, like 60s. She was pretty much. They had to go like before the 50s.
And you're
because she was born in like 1920. If she died at 96, she was born in 1926.
Yes, something. I know, but you're so right. By the way, we're gonna talk about this publication, Iran International. You heard of it, right? From London. Oh my God, man! BBC Persia is not gonna ask. Like they are doing 24/7 live, like bird watching the whole royal family. Like the camera is split into 6. There is 2 royal I mean, they're going fucking mad over this. They're killing us.
Do you think it does good for ratings for them?
Oh, for them, the segment of Iranian population they're targeting, they love. They're like, those Americans that love you know, royal family and that thing. And plus old-fashioned Iranians who generally like they're like me, royalty. Who's okay?
You know, I was one of them, but then you know, I was born someone else.
Yes,
but I could have been.
Could have been. Especially in Iranian culture. But so yeah, you know, they get, I'm sure their viewer, you know, their target audience, they can maximize a certain segment. Yeah, but yeah, you're so right. You know what they should do with the queen? What is that? Mavushka, those Russian dolls. Did you know what I'm talking? Yeah, they should, because as she gets older, she gets a smaller as well. They should have one big young one. And
that's funny.
The queen, and then at the end it's just tiny old queen.
That's pretty good.
Yes,
that's pretty good.
Business idea. Copyrighted. I think it's the law in US. If you write I copyrighted, it's copyrighted.
Oh really? No. Maybe temporarily. But okay.
Sovereign citizens.
Let's move here. So, what do we have here? What is this segment about?
Let's just say if I have a heart attack in the next 2 weeks because of you know, mental and stress and all that, it's Jared's fault. It's Jared. Why does he have to mention Max Blumenthal in that fucking comment?
Jared, our commenter.
Yeah, Jared, our comment. He left that comment about, you know, Max Blumenthal and other person have had similar views, and it led to some dark. God damn it, Jared. So yeah, so I listened. I found this because I was wondering, where am I getting this this view from? That is it bullshit? Am I just projecting what I want? That Max Blumenthal and like Grey Zone have somewhat naive views on the left, on Iran, and generally on global politics.
Okay.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. No, I was trying to, you know, make sure I listen carefully and if I understand. I was thinking, but yeah, okay. So I get it.
Shocked by the arrogance of my
no. Okay, so that's what. Okay, so the okay, yeah, that's what you think. Okay, and you had previously made that statement, and then about somebody else. Sorry, and then Jared and others said, you know, go listen to Max. He says similar things, and then you went and listened, and you think that's
low
the case.
hanging fruit. Yeah.
And why do you say that? Why do you think that, you know, his view on Iran is perhaps a bit naive?
Because on Iran, I'm not sure. On international politics, to be honest, I don't know.
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Beyond, no, I don't know. I mean, even on Palestinian issue, I've read his book a long time ago, Goliath.
Yeah, I have it.
It's a very good, you know, journalistic insights, but but politics side, I don't know. And
but yeah, I mean, it's really a fun read.
On the Iran thing, it's exactly, it's readable, so to speak. But on the international thing, so I thought myself, where does this come from, and blah blah blah, and I took a look at, I googled some keywords and stuff, and I found the Moderate Rebel episodes that was about Iran that they had with, I forget his name, let me check, Maz, I think his name is probably Maziar. Sorry, where is that?
So anyway, I can tell you maybe. With Mazda Majidi.
Mazda. Sorry, I said it's.
That's so strange. That's an Iranian name. I've never heard that.
Yeah, he's Iranian.
Mazda.
Mazda is very the car name. You know.
I know, but that's the car.
No, it's common Iranian name. Mazda was named partially after that god.
I see.
But yeah, it means
because the first name you went with Maziar. Now that's a common name.
No, I thought it was Maz. Yeah, because a lot of Maziars to put Maz.
Like
as short, you know.
Yeah,
Maz Jobrani. Yeah, and Yeah, and then they had this guest on, and I think this gets, and again, I don't think, by the way, Max Blumenthal and Ben Norton or anybody has that naive new view because they are not from Iran, because they are not local or they are not swept into the culture. No, no, that guy from Iran, very much Iranian, has this, I would say majority of Iranians
but so here
have that view.
So in this video that
No,
you're going to play, it's not Max who's talking, it's the other guy though.
Yeah, but there is a part where Max is talking to. I have another part where Max talks. But I just want to clarify that I don't mean to be one of those assholes that argues you're not from America, you're not from Iran, why are you talking? All I'm asking is doing more research. Not, I don't give a shit where you come from or if you've traveled. I've seen people who've traveled all around the world, completely empty still, you know. But, so yeah, I'm just saying.
Is
I
that
don't
a
want
jab
to,
at me? You said all over the world.
You haven't
some
been to
places
Turkey.
a lot. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, sometimes I try to tell you things without hurting you directly. So, you know, work on yourself.
Read a book.
But I don't want to be
Yeah.
I really hate to be misqualified as those people who are, you know, oh, only Egyptians should have war done Egyptians. Oh, only Hungarians,
Fair enough.
Iranians, whatever, you know, like, all right.
Agree with you there.
So, yeah, so maybe now we can play a bit to clarify my point about some of the stuff they say and what are the disagreements. I think maybe minute 18, 20th second is good, but maybe even a bit later. So I don't know. You've listened to parts of it. Maybe you can chime in.
Okay, let's listen from here.
Accounts, which just
So that's the other guy talking now, Mazda.
I think at first it's Mazda.
Notice for the first time, which just popped
up. Yeah, we're gonna. To be honest, just to clarify.
Yeah.
No, just before. From minute, we are not gonna play all of it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure people can find the link. From minute 18, 20th second to minute 44, I pretty much disagree with everything. Almost, not
okay.
except on housing. But yeah.
Okay, let's listen to 4 minutes of it now, because that's how much of it I listened to. And one thing I realized exactly, I mean, what would be your problem with, but before that I didn't quite. So let's see.
Yeah, and there is one other part I think is good to play. But yeah.
Okay.
Pro-Shah in orientation, people chanting in support of the Shah, a banner drop from Mariam Rajavi, the head of the Mojahedin al-Cult.
Let me go a little bit further back here, though. Sorry, folks. Let's go.
That's
for
Max,
what was called the Green Revolution. I mean, you saw massive crowds. What do you have? 16 million people in Tehran. So demonstrations get really big.
That's
you didn't
Max,
see
right?
that at any point in Tehran with these demonstrations. Yes. What you did see, and it's, you know, when I say see, it's like people like me who speak English, it comes across your radar on Twitter accounts, which just you've noticed for the first time, which just pop up, which tend to be kind of pro-Shah in orientation. People chanting in support of the Shah. A banner drop from Mariam Rajavi, the head of the Mojahedin al-Cult. Or, you know, you have seen these chants. This is kind of the most confounding element to me. People chanting against Iranian support for Gaza, the Iranian role in Syria, and Iranian support for Hezbollah. So I guess, what do you make of first the last part, these chants? I mean, where do they emanate from, and how much do they reflect an authentic, organic sentiment?
I think that's a very good point. I mean, those chants apparently have happened. There were several reports of chants happening, not Gaza, not Lebanon, I give my life for Iran. And also another variant of that, not Gaza, not Lebanon, sacrifice both for Iran. You know, they're very chauvinistic. Iran is the best. Iran is the number one, that kind of a thing, which, you know, our U.S. audience can relate to this kind of a thing since we're exposed to it all the time.
Yeah, this is an important point. Some Western media outlets have been constantly reiterating that protesters are chanting "Not Gaza."
No, but I mean, that's what he talks about for the next 2 minutes too. So I suggest that we listen. They're talking about, or do you want to just say quickly something?
2 points. Okay, no. I just make quick 2 points and then we play. They shouldn't group MEK protests with Shah protests, with all protests, and let's play. Yeah, you're right. Let's play 2 more minutes.
So here, until now, they were talking about videos that they've seen of like protests, like the MEK, which is like this weird cult thing, and the Shah one, and then Max, I guess, was kind of making the point that these are, this is just like fringe stuff that pop up that is like, put on the air and put on Twitter and all that by, anti-Iranian outside forces.
These are protests, I believe, in 2018 or 19.
But I agree with that. But I mean, I don't see the problem too much there.
Well, I disagree, I guess.
We'll come back.
The 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And not Lebanon, I'll give my life for Iran. And what they're trying to do is imply that Iranians do not support the Iranian government's foreign policy. And this is, of course, the main problem that the U.S. and its allies have with Iran. They don't care that the Iranian government has, implemented neoliberal policies or oppresses its people. They really care what its foreign policy is. And Saad, who's a Lebanese professor who does amazing analysis of different conflicts in the Middle East, she pointed to a recent poll conducted by the University of Maryland Center for International Security Studies. And this poll asked average Iranians what would be acceptable, what policy would be acceptable to do in return for lifting sanctions on Iran. And 66%, 2/3 of Iranians said that it would absolutely be unacceptable for Iran to recognize Israel in return for lifting sanctions. And only 13% said that would be acceptable. So again, Iran's pro-Palestinian policies and opposition to Israel is a very popular policy in Iran. That's not unpopular. Other things that they tested in this University of Maryland poll, they asked Iranians how many people would support stopping Iranian support for Hezbollah. And 59% of Iranians said that would be unacceptable, and only 18% said that would be acceptable. And then also the poll asked if it would be acceptable for Iran to stop supporting the Syrian government in return for lifting sanctions, and 58% said that would be unacceptable, and only 18% said it would be acceptable. So again, there's a lot to critique about the Iranian government, there's no question, and it has a lot of, right-wing policies that we should oppose, but when it comes to its foreign policy, it's actually very popular among the Iranian people, and of course Western media outlets are emphasizing these small fringe groups that are chanting these kinds of chauvinistic slogans and implying that this is a wider sentiment among the Iranian population when it actually isn't.
But okay. Let me unpack this for you. I think this would be a good way. You listen to what I say, and then you. But sure, if you really want to, fine. But otherwise, I was going to suggest.
No, because there's kind of different points. That's why.
Go ahead.
Like the first point being that grouping max groups together, MEK, for example, there has been very limited. There, I can recall maybe 2 videos, and I'm constantly, again, it's anecdotal. I'm just one man, and Iran is a country under, complete dictatorship. So all the information is skewed. But the idea that you can group supporters of monarchy or
he didn't necessarily do that though. I think he said these videos. Okay. I mean, he put them in the same basket, like as in they're like
grouping.
They're like fringe voices that are propped up by the U.S.
Yeah,
but he didn't necessarily say they're the same. But so are the other groups to an extent. No, are the other groups not?
What do you mean?
Like non-MEK opposition, like in the U.S. or things like that. They are
what?
And they're supported by the U.S. as well. I mean, the U.S. doesn't only support, I'm guessing, MEK as
within,
like outside.
Iran, none of these.
No, outside.
Iran, none of. Oh, no. No. Monarchists are supported by U.S.
Exactly. So Exactly.
But not as much as MEK. Yeah.
Fine. So I mean, so that's what I'm saying. So what is the issue with what Max is saying? Unless Max is saying these two are the same, which I don't think necessarily he was saying that there.
Okay, all right. And look, that the thing. Okay, my problem is the implication that this MEK is a cult with virtually zero.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, 100%.
Monarchy is like you have at least like 6 different monarchist parties outside of Iran. And you know what I mean? It's a, and again, like king in Iran is not viewed. I'm sorry, but again, this is like Orientalist outlook. When people like they think we in Iran people care about hereditary kings as in blood and all that. It's never been about blood in Iran. Hereditary. It's never been that. Like king is a concept. When people go out and scream, we want Reza Shah back, which Reza Shah is the most, like if there is one person in Iran that is like, he's as popular in Iran as Abraham Lincoln is in America or Churchill is in UK. When they say that, they don't mean we want monarchy necessarily back. So like, I'm not even saying that most people want monarchy back. I'm just saying if they're shouting that, it's due to different reasons than even necessarily wanting monarchy back. So I disagree with that grouping to put, and none of like MEK, I genuinely don't think I've ever seen maybe one video of MEK protesting. It's just so rare. It's
I mean, but I think Max would. I don't think Max would disagree with what you're saying there.
But then, but then, but then the Palestinian, Syrian,
that part. So let's
bullshit.
Get to that.
That is such the foreign policy.
And the poll kind of.
Poll is the biggest bullshit. But I googled it. University of Maryland.
How did they carry out a poll? How did they even do it?
Poll. I'll give you the sad thing is the only critical account of the poll I could find was from which publication? We talked about it today. Iran International, the Saudi Arabian funded outlet in London. But it's, I mean, in this matter, they have like something we can look at just for the information. Of course, they're very biased. But Iran poll is conducted by University of Maryland, and it's extremely suspicious and flawed poll. It's a telephone poll in which there is a above, according to their this article and according to one other website, they have above 80%
rejection
feedback return. You know, when you do a poll, which is very rare. Like most, if you have above 50%, it's super excellent. Like often sociological, like you have to do a tiny bit, and it's just like they teach you in general. So it's a very suspicious poll. Not that I accept any poll. Like generally, I would not trust any polls, especially a telephone poll done by University of goddamn Maryland about Iran. The idea that forget about Palestine. Iranians, I'm sorry, but the biggest prejudice in Iran is towards Arabs. Iranians are extremely prejudiced towards Arabs. And when you don't even like acknowledge that, most and the guy goes on to talk about this, and the idea that Iranians give a shit about Iran recognizing or not, overwhelmingly, Iranians overwhelmingly are pro-Israel. From working class to a man in a rural area to some religious people. And again, if I want to talk about my personal experience, it's anecdotal. There is no polling or the proper, at least some, some like America, at least you have 6 polls, 7 polls, something. There's nothing like that in Iran. But this is beyond ridiculous. No. In my view, it's just disgusting misrepresentation of facts about Iran. The idea that Iranians are somehow angels, they love giving money abroad. Iranians are just like those Americans that they are not upset about all the billionaires stealing money. They see a billionaire, Iranian guy, oh, he deserved it. He worked hard. But you give $2 to Lebanon, oh, they are stealing our money. Lebanese are stealing our money, just like Americans who are more worried about international humanitarian international humanitarian contribution than they are worried about, for example, money is spent in subsidizing oil industry. So that's the naivety. That's the naivety. People somewhere else are different. People are good. That's the naivety. But we get to Max this thing too. But maybe
that's very good. No. That's a very good point. And there I agree with you 100%. Actually, no, sorry. I don't agree with you 100% because I was more with my under the impression, and it's also anecdotal and all this. Of course. I was under the impression that for sure they weren't like what he was saying, super pro-Palestinian as if they care and they're so active. I just thought they were most Iranians, or in general, large portion of population is just absolutely indifferent. Now I've heard a lot that, of course, because of the relationship of Iran with Israel in the past, I've also heard like cab drivers, like, but this is again like 15 years ago, being like very speaking like very like in a good way about Israel. And then the other thing that the guy says is absolutely hilarious too, in a way, because like the poll, which I agree with you. I mean, a poll like that, how did they conduct
what
it?
A bullshit.
But then he's like, the Iranian population overwhelmingly agree with this foreign policy. Now, this again was very skewed, not as skewed as the other one, perhaps, but also skewed because, sure, I think I wouldn't be surprised if a portion of the Iranian like kind of understands after the Iraq war, perhaps, maybe that like, it's okay that towards the US you have to be careful, and they're if they come to your country they don't have good intentions or something. Like, sure, they understand that, and with Syria they kind of perhaps get it. I think that is perhaps the way that it made a deal about it is kind of hypocritical, so or like that, but support in the way that he says it. But I think that was more accurate than the Palestinian statement for sure.
If I may add something to what you said, you're pointing out, look, this is where your ideology, thinking things can be different, thinking people can be good, that type of shit, or, having idealized view of different places can lead you to you miss the nuance. Because I would argue, again, based on some, like, this is historical debates. Nobody's going to ever prove anybody 100% wrong. So this is my take. I would definitely agree with you that, first of all, overwhelming majority of Iranians, including monarchists, before even invasion of Iraq, were pro-Iran getting nuclear weapons. That's been always the case. Even the guy, the Shah's son, who's now completely in the pocket of Trump administration and Biden administration, even he, before Trump came to power, never opposed Iran getting nuclear weapons. So that's been overwhelming. And to this day, on that subject, there is overwhelming consensus that Iran should get weapons or have the capability, right? After the Iraq war, though, there was a segment in Iran, pro-monarchist or even like liberals, but again, divided. I can name names of monarchists that were against this, but I would say there was this huge segment of monarchists that were pro-American, even invasion of Iran, if it came down to it.
Wow.
After that, though, everything changed. After Afghanistan and Iraq, even hardcore monarchists are anti-American involvement. They're anti-Pompeo, except since Trump, they bought off the former king's son, and his mother now is distancing herself from him. His mother is now talking about his daughter being what a queen would she have been if they were, you know what I mean? Because she's a smart lady and she stayed in France. She never sold out like her stupid son. And let's not forget that one of Shah's own foreign minister had, since this motherfucker went to the pocket of Trump, became one of his biggest critics, former foreign minister, of course. So when you categorize, you miss the nuance that, all these movements are constantly changing their views about America and how it interacts. So very reductive and frankly disappointing.
And that poll, honestly, I would trust that poll less than anyone's anecdotal experience. Like I put anecdotal experience and like, you know,
Above
watching the news or
polls,
whatever
but as specialists.
above that, because I mean, I don't know what you mean. They telephone from the US, people in Iran.
Let me read.
And,
let me read. This is an article by Iran International.
And what kind of questions did they ask? How? Who did they know to frame the questions properly? I mean, people.
Wait, first, let me give you some. Every 6 to 12 months, a survey conducted by Toronto, by the way, and a country that, you know, a lot of Islamic republics have huge amount of investment in. Every 6 to 12 months, a survey is conducted by a Toronto-based private firm called Iran Poll in conjunction with University of Maryland's Center for International and Security Studies. It is a telephone-based public opinion survey of people residing in Iran. Now, let me go to, they don't talk too much about the methodology, but it says,
but man, I just
the
can't.
survey goes,
I mean,
the survey goes through a succession of awkward randomization to enroll participants, excessive stratification using multiple randomized eliminates balanced participation enrollment, countering the effect and value of. I mean, that's their view. I wasn't able to find the real methodology of this, but the whole the cooperation rate that they cite is extremely suspicious.
Yeah, man, like they're calling what, and they're speaking in English, or they have people speaking in Farsi from there.
Well, as we discussed, that's not a problem in Iran, though.
Yeah, no, but I mean, to that extent, as these kind of things, I mean, that's insane. I mean, this kind of.
And by the way,
I mean,
like, man,
I know so
many Iranians that on the phone they're paranoid to talk about regime, and Iranian people are so funny, man. Like, I have this.
No, that's the thing, though. It's about this. Yeah. For me, really, it's like this poll on this subject. Now, if it was something else and you called some people in another country, I could like understand it more. But you being able to pull off a survey on these kind of topics
from Maryland and Toronto to
that's impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, if you can do that, then your local polls should be like spot on, because just figuring out how to get a representative sample, I mean, I don't know how they went. That's impressive. I didn't think that was done. I've never heard, and that's why you never hear like people citing polls like that on Iran. That was the first
Iran. Yeah, I mean, look, by the way, I really have like, my point of view on Iran is certainly a marginal point of view, right? And I am sure probably about 10 to 20% of Iran does support Islamic Republic. Some of them support it probably blindly. They don't know what Palestine is, but they fight for it to the death. But the idea that there is in Iran, or frankly, it's very rare in countries, and it usually happens in countries with low populations and very low diversity, that you have overwhelming majority asking for anything. I know my views are marginalized, but so are theirs. This bullshit idea that majority of majority of Iran don't know about most of these stuff.
No, I mean, would you believe that?
No, but I would add this, that it's the added thing that makes it really stupid in case of Iran this time is the idea that anybody, like the whole literature, everything is so, the prejudice against Arabic culture is the most prominent. And Iranian people, just like any other people, look for an excuse to hate on Arabs, you know, because that's like their default, you know, like Indians look for excuse sometimes to hate on Muslims, or, you know, the Pakistanis look for reasons to hate on Hindus. And of course, when your country gives like a tiniest support to Palestine, they're going to be, you know what I mean? Like use that, or Syria or whatever.
Yeah.
And I am somebody who, by the way, I fully support Iran's support for Lebanon and Syria, but I really think we shouldn't support Palestine one bit. So that's a marginalized view. I have no delusion. Iranian people all want this.
All right. Well, if somebody picks up on this comment, put it in the chat, and so put in the comment section, and we'll follow up on Sam's comment right here. This one about you and Palestine, and we'll follow up on this if someone says it. We'll follow up on it in the comment section.
Oh, sure. No, but that's my personal view, though.
Yeah. No, I know, but I know exactly.
It has nothing to do with the makeup of Iran.
I know, but just want to talk about it for fun next time if anybody wants. But wait, I was gonna say.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I think your main point is, which I totally agree with, which is that like this situation that is describing like about the people is kind of like the you know, the Caleb one. I was listening again to the clip. He's like, you know, in Iran, it's a country where the government is working for the people, with the people, and even him making it seem like government and the people have like, you know, such, they have the exact same kind of views in many areas and they're very supportive. I mean, would that sound true to you in any other country? Like, you know, does that make sense anywhere else? Like a country that you know a bit better, if you think about it, you're like, you know, things are never like that rosy and black and white also. So I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, you're saying that, you know, they're making Iranians to almost be like these superhumans, but, you know, they're just normal people like everybody else in other countries.
Idea that I mean these are the people who right now talk about American economy as, oh, it's devastating. The effect of Clinton administration on economy was devastating. George Bush not helping the economy was devastating on our economy. What do you think is been happening? Like, do you think normal Iranian people have been going through 40 years of devastation? And now the part that really made me angry, it's actually a perfect segue to the part that really made me angry. Go to minute, I think it's from minute 39 to minute 44, where they talk more about the economics of Iran. And this idea that, for example, they talk about America and they're like, you know, in America, of course, when people are economically marginalized, they're going to turn to violence or turn to crime. But in Iran, it seems if you're economically marginalized, we suddenly developed this sort of a altruistic feeling towards Palestine, you know, or something. Like, it's such a simplistic, idiotic thing. Like, get over.
Let's see.
Yeah, sorry.
Ahmadinejad, who on cultural policies, you know, I would say is pretty right wing, but when it came to economic policies,
sorry, they just said Ahmadinejad, so they're talking about the former Iranian president Ahmadinejad here, I guess.
Ahmadinejad actually pursued a kind of left-leaning populist agenda. He increased subsidies for food and fuel. He promised to build millions of homes, and he actually criticized capitalism a lot. And what's interesting to me is that it seems that the reformists, you know, you said that they're not full-on neoliberals, but they're much less anti-capitalist, at least compared to someone like Ahmadinejad. So to Westerners, you know, to those of us living in Western capital,
it's so funny when someone is talking about Ahmadinejad seriously. It's like talking about Trump seriously. Like you said, like you discuss Trump, so you discuss Ahmadinejad, but you don't like break him down critically.
It's so frustrating.
And some of the things that he was saying are true. I mean, you know, he did, I think, increase subsidies, but I mean, you know, a lot of others did it. But yeah, he was a quote unquote populist, you can say, in that way. And a lot of leftists.
He had. I'll come back to him specifically because I have you know, I have some history to tell you about. But the idea, he was, first of all, he was in the same goddamn party as Rafsanjani, who's the biggest neoliberal in Iran.
Ahmadinejad is like Bernie.
Then he moved away.
He's like
he's independent. No, Ahmadinejad, the idea, I mean, the comparison with Trump is really apt because both, not that because I think they're necessarily stupid or worse than anyone. I think they're all awful. But Ahmadinejad and Trump are people who don't have values. These people don't really have values. They just have instincts, you know, they're like animals, you know, they're like, they go for things. They don't have, you know, they don't have a specific ideology. The idea that he was leftist, he was actually, read about this, Google this. I swear, I just remember this. I should have Googled it before. The IMF, I'm 100% sure IMF praised Ahmadinejad's privatizing policies. I'm 100% sure about that. Well, not 100%, 90%. I haven't read about it in 10 years. But then the only thing he was kind of right was the housing. Ahmadinejad's housing policy, even though it was in the end highly corrupt, you had all these houses built with no pipes, no electricity, you know, fucking wild animals living nearby, no, you know, security systems, all that. But I believe 2 million or 3 million of those houses were good, and that provided Iranian poor with good housing.
Definitely.
So that has to be said. But besides that, he like what? Like, I mean, play till minute 44. It gets really bad.
capitalist bourgeois democracies, where left-wing politics and economics in particular are associated with left-wing progressive social policies like feminism, anti-racism, pro-LGBT rights, etc. It seems like that's not exactly the same in Iran. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that contradiction?
Actually, it's not often that I'm interviewed where the interviewer is even aware of these contradictions. Ben, I appreciate the point that you made. It's one of the contradictions that's actually very difficult to deal with. And what I'm going to say is essentially a restating of what you said, because like the Ahmadinejad fraction of the principalists, or the hardliners as the Westerners would like to call them, tend to be progressive on issues having to do with the economy, believe in placing, significant restrictions on capital, believe in pretty wide programs to benefit the poor and the working class, and like huge housing projects that are only where their completed houses are only given to low-income citizens. And these are all very progressive things that any progressive around the world would defend.
Oh, sorry. Go back a bit and play it a bit. Sorry.
Why?
I want to respond to something very specific.
As the Westerners would like to call them, tend to be progressive on issues having to do with the economy, believe in placing, significant restrictions on capital, believe in pretty wide programs to benefit the poor and the working class, and, like huge housing projects that are only where their completed houses are only given to low-income citizens. And these are all very progressive things that, any progressive around the world would defend. However, that comes in a package of...
Pause.
It's the same part.
No, I know. No. But he said any progressive in the world would defend. I don't know if I'm necessarily would be described by others as a progressive. I like to think I am, as in like I like, progressive housing, free housing, free healthcare, free education and all that. But I would 100% disagree with this guy, and he's lying. There is no widespread, there is no there are no big projects that benefit the poor. There are no big projects that provide even work or employment that is sustainable for the poor. There is the housing projects that he's describing are mostly corrupt deals that allow for contractors and the friends of families of different officials to become rich. It's not for the poor. It's the idea that they believe in. I mean, he uses that word believe in, or they have this idea. So this guy is, I'm sorry, but this guy is a joke. And just like by the way, again, most of Iranian left agrees with him, not me.
Really? Iranian left?
Yeah. They are idiots. Just like, to be honest, they're just like American. I'm sorry, getting offended, but British left, American. Nobody seems to understand anything outside their own country. Like they suddenly become fucking stupid when Americans they're hard workers. Americans are the best. Iranians. They have compassion. They can feel for others. It's just people are. I don't know. I really don't get it. But yeah, the housing one, even though it did lead to some good, it was overwhelmingly the intention behind it was corruption. And because of that, most of it did lead to corruption and a lot of problems in city planning, urban planning, and all that. The idea that, the idea that we can say Ahmadinejad is actually considered the right wing of Islamic Republic in terms of economics. But then again, the discussion in Iran is not about they all want development. They all talk about development, and nobody's talking about free market as in a full American style free market, or as Chinese state development. They all talk wishy-washy. All they want, like, let me give you a tiny history thing. Rafsanjani, right, was the Speaker of the Parliament, second really only to the Khomeini, when Khomeini was alive. Khomeini dies, Rafsanjani, being in the most powerful position, puts Khamenei in position of power. Why? Because the plan was Supreme Leader's office becomes ceremonial. All the power resides with the president. Rafsanjani becomes president. He has the power, right? He's a bit of a Clintonite neoliberal, a lot of investment in Canada, blah, blah, blah. He starts to privatize. Why? Because just like all the assholes around the world, governments, they don't want to spend money on people. They don't want the responsibility even. You know, it's easier to just privatize, you know, import, export factories. During this time, Khamenei gets close, the Supreme Leader gets closer to the military because he needs a base of support. Otherwise, he's getting all the shit, none of credit, because they say he's the bad guy, but Rafsanjani is the good guy because he's privatizing and stuff. Then Ahmadinejad, supported by Supreme Leader, like, I mean, there is a lot of things in the middle. I am generalizing and summarizing a lot. But then what happens is that Khamenei tries to come back to get back the reins of the government through Ahmadinejad, right? The Supreme Leader. And they do that. Now, when you see, when Rafsanjani started his career, he was okay with government taking over after revolution, all the industries, because it was his buddies. Yeah. But now his buddies were in private sectors. Now they all had retired from military, from the foundations, bonyads. They all retired from those stuff, or those are semi-private. They had retired from them and they were in private industry. So the reason why Ahmadinejad was a bit putting the brakes on that, because he didn't want the base of the Rafsanjani to grow. Now that the base of Rafsanjani and Rouhani is pretty much destroyed, they love they love military industrial complex. It's military, they are the military industrial complex. It's just the naivete, the lack of nuance, they like people love narratives, man. They like fairy tales, good guys, bad guys, they came, they won.
No, 100%. No, I agree with you here. I agree with you again here, and that was very interesting. Wasn't aware of that.
But maybe play the Max. 4 minutes. Max says Iran has a socialist medical thing. Maybe and Iran does not have Medicare for all. Iran does not provide Medicare
but it does have healthcare. No?
Let me explain. If you
so let's assume that Max said that. Let's see, where does Max say? Hold on. Let me fast
forward. Cultural reactionary.
It's about social security.
More progressive that exist, the liberalism to handling of benefits and social safety net market.
Being universal healthcare.
So
it's a very complicated picture.
Wait, something I noticed, even being in occupied Palestine, is that regardless of what any faction anyone subscribes to, the idea of not having universal healthcare, not having free healthcare, is just unfathomable. And then you look at Iran. You have all these different factions. You have a mixed economy. But correct me if I'm wrong. Like kind of 65% of the economy is public or controlled by the state. And you start work at 16, you can retire at 48 and have cash subsidies paid into your account. I mean, you have
that's ridiculous,
kind of a system set up that people are dependent on, that we would
it's nothing.
Recognize in the U.S. as radical socialism. Exactly. And people don't want to lose it. Another thing I noticed is that these attacks on banks in Iran, there were dozens of attacks on banks.
This is
when the protests started turning violent.
Okay, so I mean, healthcare, which country doesn't have? But Iran definitely has. Let's assume that Iran has. It does have healthcare. I mean, I know in the U.S. it's seen as something crazy, but I mean, most
Iran
countries
doesn't have
do.
Universal healthcare.
And let's assume.
Let me again explain. That's why, by the way, I think America is the richest country in the world and the most developed one. So that's what is missing sometimes from healthcare discussions, I think. And Iran is not the richest country in the world or the most powerful. What Iran has is that if you work, if you're employed, you have to, your employer has to insure you. Something that
But the US is the same too, kind of.
It's very similar to US in that sense. So in that sense, Iran is very similar to it. But I'll get to actually something that completely contradicts the bullshit this guy was espousing.
And then the 65% figure too. Let's unpack that after.
65?
Economy, publicly owned.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I'll give references to. But in Iran, you have, yes, if you are employed, your employer is obligated to get you insurance. This is very hardly enforced. I have worked for 3 different companies, 2 of them quite major. It's very common if you're part-time. Again, if you're part-time, legally, sure, you have to be. But largely, not largely, I would say 50, because if you're a laborer, it's almost impossible to ignore that. They catch you. But for a lot of like consulting work, that type of thing, it happens all the time. You know, if the guy is working from home, because you have somebody who comes from insurance company and he checks the offices. That's how they find out. They check the workplace work. Inspector, like, right? If you don't have that, you can buy private medical insurance, which is, it's for a middle-class Iranian, which is becoming increasingly a rare breed, is affordable. There are affordable ones, but it's, you know, it's becoming during the last 40 years, it's increasingly become harder. If you don't have any money, and you go to a government hospital, a state-owned hospital, they will treat you in emergency room. And for example, I asked to a doctor and an insurance person, what if you have cancer? You need cancer treatments, like, you know, chemotherapy. They said they give you chemotherapy, but they probably the timing might not, like, you might have to wait a lot, and you won't get good drugs. If you want good drugs, you have to go buy it yourself, and you have to find it yourself. Then, if you don't have any, by the way, in the governmental context, you still owe them 10%. So 90% is with them. You owe them 10%.
Yeah.
Now, before Rouhani, so we are talking Ahmadinejad years, and before that, all the years before that, it was the Rouhani, like, because he was inspired by Obama, he introduced this thing, you can Google it, Bimeye Salamat, health insurance, but it's kind of like insurance of health. It's the name of it. Before that, if you didn't have any money and stuff, there would be charities and stuff, but you would own the 100% of the money to the to the hospital. As I talked to a lot of doctors, they said the debt was not collected a lot of times. They, like, after 4 months, they would release, like, the body, if it was a dead person, for example, or if it's a sick person, they don't release them until, like, there is some procedure thing to confirm. So it's means tested that you definitely can't pay that 10% Ahmadinejad years, and before that 100%. So that's the medical system. And by the way, this thing about pensions that Max Blumenthal, you can work from 50. You know what's the pension? The pensioners are the ones that are protesting in Iran, and they are probably the only ones who don't get beaten the shit out of them because the police is just like they're too old. Pensioners are getting, I think, about 50 to, I have to do the goddamn math calculation, I'm not good, but they get, like, man, it's not a living. Their pension, I know people that are in 80s, they have 2 jobs and they get a pension.
Yeah. No, I mean, the
like,
pension
I don't know what
thing,
the fuck are these people
the pension thing
like,
is
the pension thing is like the conscription money they give to you in Iran. It's like 10, it's not, you can't, like, 2 shopping trips. That's what it is.
No, I mean, just think about it. Does that make sense? So in Iran, there are people at the age of 40, they can easily retire and live their lives. I mean, does that make sense, people? I mean,
and you get cash, cash universal income, universal basic income in Iran is like $2.
Yeah, I know. And then you know, the health insurance thing, now that's much more closer to reality, taking into consideration everything you said, still much closer to reality. Fine, let's take everything into consideration. But I mean, you know, I know the US doesn't have it, but like left and right countries have, you know, like all kinds of different healthcare systems. So I mean, it's not like it's not like that insane that, you know, let's say even if Iran had fully nationalized at point of service healthcare. Let's say, even if they had that, I mean, that doesn't like suddenly, the way that he was talking about, I'm sure it's an important thing, but I'm just saying it's not so
That's
rare.
okay.
A lot of countries.
No, but I would say that's a real goddamn criteria that makes a country better than another. Like,
for sure.
Like that's good.
So, but so yeah,
like,
Canada has that over the US,
America.
or
I would say
France.
that the doctor I talked to had worked in US, and she told me that it's kind of in Iran. She said it's the medical system. She said is better because she said there is a much higher. She said in all the governmental hospitals, it's law that there must be all these charitable organizations there in case if somebody doesn't have money. But in private one, she said there usually is. It's not the law, but she said it's a much more presence of this type of organization. So there is that, is for whatever that's worth.
Okay, and then what about the 65%? He says 65% of the economy is publicly owned. Now, a lot can be publicly owned, is what you do with it and how you invest everything and how things goes. But even that, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to say. And when you really look, like I think who the public owned is.
Again,
I mean, we talked about the military last time,
No, I have the articles again just to reference. I just to reference for economy of Iran and how it's, I mean, not that a state owned does not necessarily mean it's operated in the benefits of the public. So I highly recommend, this is from Journal of Strategic Security, fall 2015, Revolutionary Intelligence, the expanding intelligence role of Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, author Judith Banerjee. Then we've got this, which I again highly recommend because I think it really, this you can see exactly how the bullshit the Iranian guy was saying. So this is from Journal of Developing Areas, winter 2015, how Ahmadinejad changed Iran's economy. And Nader Habibi.
We've showed these articles. And so what are some of the points that they make that counter that what Max said?
For example, Nader Habibi article is very good because it goes through specific parts of, I'm looking for the thing. Oh, sorry, I don't have the right article. I have some things highlighted. So, for example, he talks a lot about the influence that how military became how military increased its role in economy during Ahmadinejad years. He talked about his economic privatization during his time. He talks about subsidy reform during his time, which was most, I think Iranians would agree, was done in a way that really benefited the rich.
And I think one of them...
He talks about money. He talks about Jesus Christ. Right, for monetary policy and banking in Iran, which exploded during Ahmadinejad. Like I remember because I wasn't in Iran during Ahmadinejad years, and I came back for like from what was it, like my sister's engagement or some shit. I came back and suddenly on every goddamn alleyway there's 3 banks. It's like there is more banks in Iran than there is like McDonald's in London. It's unbelievable how many banks there are in Iran. It's genuinely, it's a shock. And that happened during Ahmadinejad. Ahmadinejad, again, he was praised by IMF. He did, anyways.
Yeah, we can hopefully get that for next time. And then, I was just going to say, I know one of the articles talks about how the, the military or the part of the military has 20%, like somewhere around 20% of ownership of the economy. So
the reality is, by the way, Iran is a perfect example to know how little people know and how I'm an idiot. Whatever I say is my take, but a lot of people seems to not at least be upfront about that. Iran is a country that purposefully by its leaders have been kept under. Nobody knows what most Iranians think. I don't know. There is Iranian economy is the weirdest mixture of Iranian economy. A lot of economists in Iran argue Iranian economy is one of the few economies. The black market is large than the actual economy, putting the oil aside.
Which
Because,
makes
for example,
complete sense, even not putting the oil aside. But I mean, the
You've
oil
been to shops.
is other in another way. But I mean, if you just think about the number of goods that are like, the type of goods that are illegal, I mean, depends how you look at it. Like at the
And the
moment right now,
availability.
in Iran, it is like illegal to import foreign, clothes and all this. So if you're going to incorporate all these, I mean, most of the economy is
like even when you go to a supermarket, and by the way, they come every month or so. The people who come check the prices. So the prices, because there is a governmental like pricing on some like milk and that type of thing, and all like 90% of the stuff in a lot of supermarkets, it's changing now because of price of dollars. Very illegal. Like everybody's shop, like the whole of Iran has to go basically to jail. Like, so who knows what percentage of Iranian economy is on there?
I think one of the articles points that out, that it's very hard to give a figure.
And but the main point is that it's a state-run, the oil and the and what is not a state-run is run by foundations, which are these private entities connected to a state, but completely independent from governmental accountability. So you want to call that private, you want to call that government, it's corruption.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I agree with you there. Okay.
But you see what I mean about the naive. Yeah, this is the guy's article.
And this is by him. Okay.
Bullshit. Yeah, very bullshit article about. Yeah, maybe we go through it next time. It's not worth our time now. I think it's better to move on to. I feel like I had good. I don't know.
That's a poll. No, I agree. I mean, only the first point I disagreed with you. The one about Max necessarily putting them together, but the rest very good.
Fair enough.
Okay, and yeah, you had actually sent this to me. I could have opened it when you were looking at the poll.
Oh yeah, sorry. I mean, it's look. This Iran International Organization is not trustworthy. But then again, I'm looking for, you know what I mean? Like if you want to know what's happening in America, watch RT. If you know what's happening in Russia, watch CNN. That's my flaws.
All right, Sam, let's move on to our next segment here. Let's talk about a few more stories. So this one, Brie and Krystal Ball. So I'm not sure what you wanted to say. I mean, I remember watched this like a week ago. So they discussed, third party, same usual stuff, third party versus electoral politics. I thought, I mean, not that, third party even long term seems to be possible because nothing's going on. But yeah, Krystal Ball seemed to be focused on like right now. So she was like, right now, there's no way a third party candidate will win this upcoming presidential election, of course, but nothing's going to happen from inside the party right now anyway. So I mean, it was just the same old it was just this discussion on this. I mean, everybody knows Brie's point of view, and I think I agree much more with her. So I don't know, what did you make of that, or what did you want to discuss?
Well, I mean, on what do you agree more with Brie?
Just in general, like, I mean, that, like, from, there's not going to be another Bernie moment or something like that. That was once in a thing and it happened. And there's a higher chance if actually. Huh?
I thought the only disagreement they had was on third party, but they both agreed that Marianne Williamson can build up on Bernie's. No?
I missed that part. I only watched the 28-minute video one anyway, so.
Oh, all right. So it's cool. Yeah, let's watch some of the parts from later parts then. Let me see. I have so much notes on this. Okay, but before watching it, okay, so what do you think on the third party thing? You watched that part.
Oh, I mean, I agree more with Brie, I mean, I would just put it that way. The usual stuff, and of course, I think long-term, perhaps even that has a higher chance of maybe at least taking some votes or things like that. But
okay, all right, fair enough. No, I agree with you. It can pressurize. I think at this point, anyway, the evidence seemed to be at this juncture in history, Democratic Party's closed circus.
I mean, also, actually, if anything surprised me was that Krystal Ball was more of like, Democrat and, less third party than I would have expected, but that's about it.
Yeah. But I must say, I found, again, this conversation to me, connected to our larger theme, just shows the naivety and misunderstanding of history that there are places, and I have sort of wrote them down, but I can't really make much off of my own writing, to be honest. I don't understand it, but there is for example, there is this constant thing about our democracy disappearing. Again, when was this democracy in place? When was it?
Stop it! They didn't say that, did they?
They let me see. Go to minute 8, second 30th to minute 10. I think Krystal.
It's one of my favorite places that I've ever been, I've ever lived. I have just like a strong attachment to that state. And when I was living there, was the first time that they'd actually had a Republican governor in a long time, because it took a long time for the sort of political realignment to snap into place there. And of course, now they have a Democratic governor again. But all of this terrible legislation was getting just pushed through, right to work, attacks on teachers' pensions, all this stuff. And I'd be tweeting about it. And I get all this hate of like, well, they deserve it. Like, well, they voted the wrong way. So like, they get what they deserve. That was one of the first real kind of eye-opening moments for me of like, I didn't sign up to be part of a group that picks like, oh, these people are worthy and these people aren't. And that continues to really inform, I hope on my best days, the way that I try to approach politics. I try to be relentless on the elected officials, the elites, the pundit class, the media class. Those people deserve all the support in the world. But I'm much more reluctant to just like write off half the country as we can never win them over. Their minds can never be changed. They're just part of a cult. They're all fascists. I'm unwilling to go there, because when you go there, that means you're done with democracy.
Right.
Because how can you have a democracy in a country where you think half the country is literally fascist? Like, that's not going to work out. You're going to end up with a police state. You're going to end up with authoritarianism. And so I have a lot more faith in our ability to persuade and reach out to and win over the American people. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more.
Awesome.
We both.
Okay, I mean, she didn't say like, before we had democracy.
No,
kind
it's
of.
implication. It's implication. So I know, but this does go towards my point about
winning over. Yeah,
more major point. The idea of persuasion being a worthy cause, and this is really example. But I do think maybe I am reading too much in the implication. But I don't think America in 1960s or Iran in 1960s or anywhere it was
yeah, for sure.
And then there is one part where Bree says that I think this is the worst. When we started, let me see if I have the notes. I think it's maybe right after this, actually. Maybe play it. This is where she says, I think this is the worst thing that has inflicted this idea that persuasion doesn't work.
Both just had these radars that got a little bit of attention, because the same morning we decided to do some version of, I think yours was Candace Owens was right, and mine was Marjorie Taylor Greene was right.
Yeah.
And the response to those kinds of radars, I mean, they don't surprise me anymore. Obviously, they're titled in a way that's supposed to get a certain amount of attention. But it is interesting to me that the kind of response that comes down the pipe is only possible in a way where people only can understand and appeal to conservative voters as a capitulation on some core belief, right? It seems pretty clear what we're saying there, that, this is something that the left has been fighting for, and to the extent that there's any dovetailing of interest, let's be the one that defines what the playing field is. But in a world where you don't believe that there are any people in the Republican camp or the conservative camp that are interested in those ideas in good faith, then it does seem like a futile project. And it does seem like some weird kind of effort to make Marjorie Taylor Greene smile.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, I totally that one. Oh,
play just 10 seconds.
Make Candace Owens your best friend, or whatever people think is our underlying goal. So, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would disagree with that premise anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, can you convince a few people? Can you convince some people? But I mean, you know, by going on the hill or winning people to what side even? Like, what are we talking about? Like in everything, like, you know, even within the progressive YouTube left, between 8 people, there are like disagreements. Like, what are you even talking about? Yeah, fine. Yeah, convince people that free healthcare. I mean, that I believe such easy wins. Like, sure, but I mean, and that's a big win in a way. I mean, if that ever happens, but
people's beliefs have little to no influence on their behavior, or otherwise. That, to me, I mean, is a fact. Now, that's why I kind of feel like with Brie is a bit, not so much with Krystal, but with Brie, it's like, you can't say, like, we disagree on such a fundamental thing that it's almost like, you know, okay, that's what you think, man, you know. But
I mean, listen, you can,
just before this, though, I would like to say, she says what you do, she kind of here, in my view, does a bit of a poor job of representing her critics, as they think we want to make Marjorie Taylor laugh or Candice Owen our friend or whatever. No, any genuine criticism, I think any genuine criticism of this thing, this projects these guys are involved in, is that it's futile. It's a waste of time. But it's, no, I don't think like they're bad. You know, just to be clear, nobody thinks they're like, you know, oh, they're trying to get a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. No, I was gonna say, I mean, listen, you can convince some people on some things, but I mean, you know, the way that they make it seem or hope that it would happen, that, you know.
And if you do, what happens? Like, I mean, you have to think about that too. Like,
that's a very good point.
You know, what's the point?
We got 10 new guys now.
Yeah. You know, that's another.
And where do they stand on Marianne Williamson? So what did they say about her?
I'll get there.
And then let's
I'll get there.
Watch a little bit of her video.
Before that, I wanted to, but I'll get there. I have that pinpointed, thankfully. But I must say, like, you know, the reason, this is a personal thing. It has nothing to do with a substantive criticism or whatever. The reason why I watch these contents and stuff is to know more about what's going on. Not because I want to, of course I want to change. Who doesn't want to change the world? I mean, I don't get, like, but I have, realistically, I doubt it. I'm gonna, or, you know, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Or
don't say that to Brie.
Yeah, I know. These, but it's like it's getting really annoying, because it's like every time you go to your mechanic to tell you like about how your car is fixed and stuff, it starts telling you about his existential crisis about, you know, oh, you know, I don't know if I'm a mechanic, if I fix the car of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it does feel like that. So the annoyance, the personal annoyance, comes from that. But yeah, sorry, I can't. But for Marianne Williamson, go to minute 33, and I think you can, maybe 33 to 36 kind of gives it away. No, it's middle there. Yeah.
Has, you know, told people very clearly and directly, like, he would not run against Biden. Even Bernie said, I wouldn't run if Biden's running, which I think if Bernie is even on the record being like, if my friend Joe is running, I'm out. I think it would be very, very unlikely that an actual elected Democrat challenges him. So it would have to be someone who's an outsider. Obviously, Marianne Williamson, who we both know and love, is thinking possibly in that direction. I personally love Marianne. I think she has a lot to offer, including having a balance of great, like, lefty policy chops, but also a sort of broader, I sort of hate to use the word spiritual, but that's really what it is, a broader lens that I think the country really needs right now, some values beyond just like 1 + 2 = 3. So I think she really has something to offer there, and a connectivity with potentially parts of the Democratic Party that were not directly in the Bernie base. She sort of Bernie adjacent and obviously endorsed Bernie, but didn't come directly out of his camp. You know, she had this base of her own of like middle-aged women who loved her before she ever was Marianne Williamson, the presidential candidate. So I do think that Marianne is a potentially very good option for the left, and outsiders are always interesting and exciting anyway.
So there's the possibility of Marianne. There's obviously the emergence of the Forward Party and Andrew Yang positioning himself, if not personally, then as the shepherd of this party, someone who could funnel through candidates outside of the Democratic or Republican machine.
Yeah.
There was a little media cycle a month or so ago about, is Bernie going to run? I mean, for obvious reasons, I think that that's not going to happen. But there does seem to be an appetite by people who are politically disaffected for someone to run outside of Joe Biden, in addition to Joe Biden.
Of course there
and my
is.
concern is that given all of the fractures that we've seen on the left since Bernie dropped out in 2020, whether it's about force to vote or any of these force to vote adjacent skirmishes that have happened since then, that there's not a guarantee that any candidate, even if they're running against Joe Biden, who's obviously to the right of anybody a progressive would even consider voting for, any progressive that announced at this point would not have the guarantee of full-throated support from the left the way that Bernie did in 2016 and 2020. And I look at someone like Marianne and I see how the alliances that have happened would pick at various aspects of her foreign policy stance, would have issues with some of the, statements she's made about various public officials that have died, a certain approach to certain kind of Silicon Valley types that, she might have a personal little knowledge or relationship with. And there are some people who say, well, don't make the perfect be the enemy of the good. She's obviously so superior to Joe Biden that I can overlook any number of things. And there's other people who have been burned so badly who look to someone like Nina Turner and think, well, she tried twice her way. She didn't learn a lesson about how to break free of the Democratic Party. They feel that she bent her.
I mean, I think Bree's take is much more sober than Krystal's there. I mean, of course, I mean, do I like Marianne Wilson and all this, but I mean, thinking that she has a chance to do anything substantive like this, I mean, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, play a bit more because they played that video from Marianne.
Me on certain policy issues and certain messaging issues that speak to how she would also legislate if she were to win, and therefore are more distrustful than they would have been immediately in the wake of Bernie Sanders. And I wonder, do you think that is something that is surmountable?
So I think it is a real risk. I mean, with regard to Nina,
But I mean, what clip? I mean, we played quite a bit
sorry,
of it.
I thought it's here. I thought it's where I just wanted to see where Bree says, the clip where Marianne Williamson, just before that, Bree makes a comment. They played just for 10 seconds. It's very brief. It's right about, it should be around, I put it marked as 33:40, minute 33, 40th second. Jesus, I'm going mad with all these numbers. But let me check again.
Oh, here we go. No, that's not her.
That's Jill
not,
Stein.
Yeah, it's Jill Stein.
No, that's Jill Stein. Yeah, I have it here at 33 second 40th.
Yeah, no, not there for sure.
No. Yeah. Anyways, I was wrong. But I think the thing what Bree says, she says it's right on point. So maybe we can actually now go to that video and take a look at that video, huh?
Marianne Williamson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit funny.
One thing, do you feel sad? Or maybe lonely? Or depressed? Anxious, tired? Burnt out? Full of dread or despair? Maybe you feel alienated from other people, like you're apart or adrift. If so, you are not alone. Everyone, Practically everyone is feeling the same way. They are the dominant feelings of our time. You've probably heard this described as a mental health crisis. And that's true. Something has gone wrong with our...
This video is too funny. The toad
Oh,
kills me. The
by the way,
projection.
for next week, I'm working on a sketch on this and hopefully something with King Charles now. But yeah, so this lady was fascinating. So I didn't know about this lady's past too much. All I knew was from 2016 and stuff like that. And what was your impression?
I mean, I know her a bit for the past year or two, seen her in, but yeah, no, this was a lot of projecting. You're sad. You're depressed. Okay, fine. Then you're burnt out. At the very least, you're a little bit tired. No. He was
Come
insisting.
on, you want to sleep?
Come on. Okay, your knee hurts. Admit it. No.
She's one of those people that force massages. She's like, no, let me give you a massage. No, I'm okay. No,
and then of course, yeah, a little
So
bit of
why
a
did
thing
you-
that our times are very unique and all that.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. That's one of the key giveaways of a bullshit artist. But yeah, our times are, especially bad, blah blah blah.
Let's move to her past. Tell us about it.
All right. So I knew she was involved in all these spiritual and bullshit type of thing. I had no idea she was. That's how her original claim to fame is, that she went on opera, popularizing a book that I had heard of. I didn't know too much about, a book called A Course in Miracles. This is a book that what I knew about was that they're basically kind of a cheesy cult. They're like Jehovah's Witnesses without the religion. It's like Jesus was all love, kind of like Baha'i type shit, It's all about love. It's all about what you think God is. And by the way, all these bullshit, and like whenever societies get to this level, this type of bullshit, Baha'i, kind of Iranian Shia religion, it's all kind of like same sort of bullshit that, Muhammad and Jesus and Buddha, they were all friends. They were fighting bad guys as a part of Justice League. It's basically childish. So A Course of Miracle is in that sense. It's transcendental Christianity, and it's I didn't know this. It's connected to subjective idealism, which is the biggest bullshit philosophy out there. Again, I don't know if George Berkeley is associated with it. It's the idea that nothing exists. It's kind of like the most stupid interpretation of Matrix. Those people who watched Matrix and go, yo, man, it's all in your head, man. It's that. So she's part of that. A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles was largely considered a sort of it's like, not right or left, but it's this bullshit about it's self-help, and self-help by nature is right thing, in my opinion.
In a sense, yeah. I mean,
So,
in the sense of
I think
taking charge of your life, being in
yes,
command.
exactly. It's not. It's your fault,
Yeah.
or it's not your fault. That type of thing. But some people would say, but this is somebody wrote this on Quora, and I thought it's very good. And by the way, this book was written by this lady who was crazy.
I thought it was written by her.
No, she made it popular on opera. She was a
Wow.
follower herself.
Oh, okay.
She went on opera as a clinical
Uh.
psychologist, which she is, and saying that how it helps people. It's like basically bullshit meditation, type
Yeah.
of thing. But the lady who wrote it was a crazy person who was basically like a medium type. Like they basically thought she was talking to God, and God told her this. But their whole mythology is full of contradiction, because at some point she contradicts words of Jesus apparently and all that. It's fascinating read. Let me read this from a comment I found on Quora. Helen Schumann, ACIM transcriber, ACIM was the name of their organization, whatever, went insane Linda Blair style during her last days alive. She also deeply regretted writing the book. And another thing to think about, the spirit guides the course mentions called themselves Legion, which was the same name the demons gave to Jesus when he cast them from a possessed man. I'm not a Christian, but it's an irony nonetheless. And this was a really good Poirot comment. He talks about how the writer thinks it's a very negative type of, but they put aside the negative, positive side. Of Course of Miracle is another bullshit, sort of a scam that came about, a scam and a cult that
I wonder if she's moved away from any of that at all. I mean, she's still all
she
about
has,
this.
She has in an interview with Vanity Fair, she really tries to move away. For example, she once told somebody who had, I think, HIV, that HIV is not as powerful as prayer.
Oh my God.
But now she says, oh, I don't know if I said that. Well, I don't know what was the context, blah, 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 blah. But that's the thing. Look at that Vanity Fair interview, people. Take a look at that. There were some fascinating stuff. By the way, she mentions one of the other reasons I thought this is perfect for this week. In one of the answers, let me read this from the interview. In one of the questions, they say, do you think that there is a unique American spirituality or an American expression of a spirituality? She answers, there is a profound American spiritual wisdom going back to Whiteman, to Emerson, to through I can never say his name, to the transcendentalists. So this is direct connection to transcendentalists. And guess who comes in now? Gandhi himself said he was influenced by transcendentalists. Another piece of shit. So, and this is, by the way, like, listen to this. This is one lesson from Course of Miracles. Simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. All concepts you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false or good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to something. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. Forget this word, forget this course, and come with holy empty hands unto your God. So it's complete bullshit and nonsense. But reading the Vanity Fair thing and seeing her, because this is, 80s, you have to admit, 80s and early 90s was the era of, everybody believed in Reaganism and all that, in popular stuff. She is, I don't think of her as a lovey-dovey, nice person anymore. She's an extremely capable political animal. I think capable of genuinely going for the throat, unlike Bernie. She's somebody who, she seems to be worshipping, people who worship power, who can change, so even unknowing, even subconsciously. Maybe she doesn't know. She maybe just has this low cunning of an animal that can smell the room change, that can feel the vibes. And these people, they have much better chance out of than perhaps
it's very
Bernie.
interesting. I didn't think of that. Yeah, for sure. Or at least she might have that going for her if push comes to shove, whatever you could say.
But you see why do you think, am I reading too much into this shift from?
No, that's interesting. No, that's interesting. I agree with that a bit, but yeah, that's interesting. I see. So maybe I misjudged
I can
her.
see, these shit. I mean, I can see the connections between all these bullshits, but somebody who's so sly in just,
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I don't know about her. But okay.
Now, I think the main theme of Brie and Krystal's discussion was persuasion and how much they think persuasion is an effective force. And I wholeheartedly disagree, and I think it's a waste of time. I mean, I try to do it sometimes because it's fun, but I don't fool myself thinking it's effective. I saw this interview on YouTube, and I really hope, let's play this.
All right, Sam. So let's wrap up with these last two videos. So I think with this one, it kind of I think with this video you want to kind of use as an example of, you know, perhaps
no, let's play.
Yeah, but you're linking it to the Briahna video, no? To your previous comments.
Krystal ball and yeah.
So who is this? This is the president
or prime minister, I forget, of Uganda.
President.
What is your message to Western human rights groups, to President Obama, to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people?
Respect African societies and their values. If you don't agree, you just keep quiet. Let's manage our society the way we see. If we are wrong, we shall find out by ourselves. Just the way we don't interfere with yours.
Do you personally dislike homosexuals?
Of course, they are disgusting. What sort of people are they? How can you go? I never knew what they were doing. That's how I've been told recently that what they do is terrible. Recently. But I was ready to ignore that if there was proof that that's how he's born, abnormal. But now the proof is not there.
I love that for many years in his life, he was going through life. I didn't know what he was doing. If I knew what the fuck.
But he didn't know who was doing what.
Gays, I think.
Where was he seen then? Like, it makes it seem like he would pass by, you know, a gay bar like every day.
Hello, gays. I don't know what they are doing, but they seem not. Oh, they are doing this. No, go convince this motherfucker. Go convince the. Like, I'm sorry, but there is a video. Hopefully, we're gonna play in the next episode, and I think people can guess. It's connected to Richard Pryor, probably the greatest comedian alive. Comedian ever. He's passed now. But some people don't change. Most people, especially I think above a certain amount of age, it becomes almost impossible to change people, even if they want to change. In many cases, let's forget about people who I don't think have any incentive or desire to change. So I think these idealistic type of things are self-help. And there is nothing wrong with self-help. I do self-help. Most of the things I do is self-help, probably is coping with life. Yeah. But let's not sell our self-help as something more.
No, you're right. And especially, I mean, as people get older, I mean, you rarely change.
Your situation, your environment, your circumstances can change.
Yeah, so then you might
change that. I promise you, most of those assholes who go and beat up, let's say, gay people in some countries, if they had a good life, if they were economically happy, they wouldn't bother. If they in their own life, you know what I mean? It's just they wouldn't bother to do something.
Now they might. Some people do still because of other reasons.
But I think poverty is the mother of all crimes, including ignorance. Some people would, but it would be so much more limited if we get rid of poverty and change people's circumstances. All of them. You know,
I agree with you there.
Yeah, that's not that people are bad or anything on the other hand. But let's go to the last one.
And what is this one again?
Because I kind of wanted
ritual curse performed by protester.
Yeah, play this and put the volume low. This is a ritual curse they're performing to curse the prime minister or the lead, whatever. We don't need the volume at all. But this is what people on YouTube or in mainstream media or generally people in media, unless they're like propagandists for a specific regime, so there is like they're getting paid to push a narrative. This is what we are doing, guys. Like that's what media is. It's ritual. Like we talk about it. It's like me and Kam are talking about Arsenal and then hoping that Arsenal's management team will improve. You know, that's what's happening. So at least these guys are basically saying it's magic. But you know, this claim that our discussion online matters, you know, that's what I really, and you know, Emily Jashinsky and Brian Grimm are going to Breaking Point, and Krystal Ball was saying that, yeah, we want to create an environment that, you know, and then every Breaking Points video ends with her saying, you know, mainstream media is tearing us apart. We're going to bring them back, create a new mainstream. Well, I'm opposed to. No, I am. I think mainstream, I think there was a reason we had the 1970s crisis. The world before then wasn't good either. It was mainstream was an illusion. Mainstream was a extremely successful. All these people want, and I don't think they know this, but because of their beliefs, it leads to that. They just want a better managed empire, like 1950s. This time includes, like, you know, black people who are born in America too, you know. The way they think leads to that, not to a fundamental change in society. And this is what media people are doing. They're just talking, hoping something will happen to someone somewhere.
I mean, at our scale right now, that's for sure. I mean, at
anybody
the scale
telling you more, I just don't like. And if they didn't ask for money, Brie doesn't. To be fair to Brie, she doesn't ask for money that much. But you know, it's like
no, I mean, yeah,
Vanguard,
yeah. True, Brie misses out on so much super chat money now that I think about it.
To be fair to her, because this was a Krystal Ball interview, and my big beef was with Break. She's the best, like by far. I still think, even with all the criticism, by far she has the best. Like, it's substantive, it's blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
But okay, all right, very nice. It was a
What do you think of the network that Breaking Points is making? You're gonna have Matt Stoller calling China Nazi, Ryan Green pushing for banning TikTok and Facebook.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If like that's like the media that they're creating, you don't want to take it. Like,
exactly.
I mean, Jesus Christ. But okay, folks. All right. So if you have any comments, questions, criticisms, please leave them below. We'll make sure to get to them. If not, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.
And I apologize in advance for all the stupid comments that I probably made, and you'll point them out to me, I'm guessing.
No, it was okay today.